Let's go! Welcome everybody into the Rant. I am Pugs Moran coming to you live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful E Gallery in Dallas's fantastic design district. We do this every day. It's a rant. It's a current events rant. It is a talk radio show. It's what it is. It's talk radio, but unlike talk radio, you're allowed to hear anywhere else. And I know this because I've asked. We do talk radio in a different kind of way. We talk about just stuff that people would like to talk about instead of it only being about sports or politics. This show doesn't get into politics. Well, it gets into politics. Life is politics. There's no avoiding it. But what this show will never tell you is that one person is better than the other and that you're a demon or that you're ruining this country because of the way you vote. You're not going to hear any of that from me. The show, I like to say, is for normal people. I like to consider myself a normal person. And what's a normal person? A normal person is someone who has spent the better part of the last 10 years in this country rolling their eyes a lot. If you roll your eyes a lot, if you see shit and just go, "Argh," that's who we are. That's a normal personal reaction to the current state of the United States of America, possibly even the world. I don't know. But that's the kind of talk we do. It is a stream of consciousness. It is me alone just talking. No breaks, no stops, no nothing. I put a script together. A script. It's not a script. It's an outline of bullet points of things that I want to get to, and I try and stay reined into that so that this doesn't just go off into a million different directions, which it's want to do. That is the thing. You have to be prepared for it. What else do I need to say about this show? That's it. 4 quarters. We do it in 4 quarters. It's just not a complete mess of random thoughts one after another. It's kind of bracketed into 4 different quarters. We talk about the history of this day and something called antecedently on this day. That's quarter 1. Previously on today, right? Quarter 2 is birthdays. People who were born on this days. Are they cool or do they suck? Quarter 3 is deads. Where'd they go? They died. They go to heaven and they go to hell. We decide. That's quarter 3. Pretty cool. Pretty fun. If I do say so myself. I'm having fun. How about you? Let me hear you. I just exist in my own fucking world. Quarter 4 is all the hot topics, current events, and shit that people are talking about today. Again, I don't go into the latest polls say. I was doing the polls every couple of weeks, and then I was just like, nah, don't do polls. Why? What's the point? It just pisses people off. We don't need to be pissed off. It pisses people. It pisses any sort of indication that something is going well for one person over the other. People don't want to hear that. We don't need to get into that. Then it starts to sound like cheerleading, and fuck that. We talk about stupid shit. We talk about movies. We talk about life. We talk about our kids. We talk about stuff that's happening in the news that sort of falls into those categories. That's it. It's not about you suck because you wear a red hat or you suck because you. I honestly don't know what an indicator of a Kamala Harris voter is. I don't know. I don't know. They don't have a uniform yet. Let's get them a uniform. All right. That's that with that. What else do we need to mention? We'll get this out of the way. We've got an executive producer every day on the show. We award the title of executive producer. You don't really have to do anything other than be the big tipper of the day before. Today's we're giving it to Barney. We didn't get anybody yesterday, but Barney is one of those dudes who tips just about every day. It's $2, whatever. It's like a cup of coffee. It's beautiful. It's the way I envisioned it, so that we're not like struggling at the end of the month. But because of this, oftentimes somebody comes in and tips more, so they get to be executive producers. So I just, time to time, instead of saying nobody, I'm just going to start mentioning some of the people who do support the show, who oftentimes don't win the day. So today is Barney, one of the Furious 15 people who keep this show up and operational. I do thank you, folks. April's here. Let's say hi to the chat room. We got Petey here. Peter. We got April. We got Al. We got Jen Hernandez. Don't I know you from a different name? There's people with their different names online. Says a guy named Pugs Moran. Not my real name. No, it's not. We're down a guy in the chat room. We got Adam. Adam's in Chicago attending Riot Fest, which is a really cool outdoor concert thing that they do there. But Riot Fest is more like punk and indie, and I don't know. It's cool. I've been to a couple of Riot Fests. I like Riot Fest. So Adam Reno, who's normally in the chat room, he's there at Riot Fest. He's bouncing around Chicago. He did the Sky Deck. He's sending me updates on Twitter. I'm looking forward to more as he adventures through the city of my Ute. He's having fun. And you know what? That's really good. That's really, this shows growth with Adam. Because let me tell you, Adam and I go back 20 years at this point. And, you know, I would expect, like, if Adam were to go to something that I really like, I would expect the feedback to be awful. Like, that was just like, Adam, like, yeah, I went to that place you liked and it fucking sucked. You know, the unsaid being, you're terrible at recommending things and I hate you. That's how he used to come in. He used to come in real hot, which is why he was such a great caller on radio shows, and why we, you know, got to be friends with him and liked him. But Adam's been having fun. He's been enjoying himself. He's a father. He's in the best shape of his life, and he's out there. A wife gave him a hall pass. He's running around Chicago. He's eating bad food. He's probably going to the top of tall buildings. So I look forward to his updates. D says Pugs competing with the Dumb Zone live stream today. Oh, fuck. They blow me out of the water. Those people are so good. Whatever. We all just got to do our thing. In fact, I don't know why we all don't come together. I don't know why there's just not a platform where all of us who are doing live content can't come together and somehow co-monetize. Here's what it is. Those people don't like me. That's what I think it is. They don't like Mike likes me. Mike Reiner likes me. But like, you know, like Dan, like I guess Dan could this be a thing? Like for 15 years, like my partner Kelly and I competed against Dan and his partner. Can that be a thing? Like it was never ugly. Like I loved them. Like I used to listen to them when I could. I don't know. But that's what should happen. We're all doing independent things. Like, you know, there was a time in this city where there were a whole bunch of people doing independent sports shows, podcasts, Cowboy Reports, Ranger stuff. And they were all doing it independently. Sports Bras, Chris, is a great example of that from our chat room. And the sports side of it has been ruined. You can't compete with sports now because DWLS is here in town. That's all city. All city has these stations, these content factories for local sports that are popping up in. They got one in Phoenix, Denver, Philadelphia, Chicago, and now Dallas. Right, so if you're an independent sports guy, the gig's up. Somebody's already doing it in the digital space. I feel bad for you, but it's going to be hard to compete with somebody who just a couple of weeks ago got another $50 million in funding. So that ship has sailed. But the rest of this stuff that we do, this kind of just casual talk conversation, I mean, I know the freak went under, but that was not due to the talent or the people involved. That was due to like corporate. That was due to radio just radioing. I don't know why those guys just didn't immediately just go on. I mean, I guess they all did in some way, shape, or form. All of the freak talent, they all went and did their separate things. None of them came together. I hate it. So we're trying to change that. We're trying to bring in some people who want to come and hang out with us and do stuff here and try and create. Maybe that's it. Maybe when it's just not some middle-aged narcissistic fat man screaming into a stream every day for 2 hours, maybe something more than that could lure them over here. Or at least, you know, a conversation. I love those guys. The Hang Zone, man. And again, they're out there, man. They got a mobile vehicle. They got like an RV that's all decked out, and they travel around the country. I mean, the Hang Zone was doing live shows from Cowboys camp. They're good, man. They know what they're doing. And Dan and Jake have great followings already, so they've got that to build on, you know. I mean, they stepped right into it with an already big Hang Zone following. And I keep calling it the Hang Zone, and I shouldn't. The Hang Zone was their show that was on the ticket for all those years. The Dumb Zone is their daily digital radio show. That is incredible. It's incredible. So good for them. Sports Bra says, nope, can't compete. That's why I'm mixing it up with bits and funny videos. Yeah, but that's why we all got to talk, Sports Bras. We all got to talk. You can just get some beer and just have a party in here. Just guys, come on over. Smoke them if you got them. We don't care about that. We could be like the pro stoner sports station. But that's not sports station. I got to stop thinking like a fucking radio person. It's not a station. Well, anyway, tonight's a big night for me. Big night for me, y'all. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't very nervous. 8:30 a.m. this morning. Hold on, let me pull this up. Oh, shit. Hold on, Adam asked me something. Oh, man, Adam texted me something and I missed him. I'm so sorry. Adam says, he sent me a text about 45 minutes ago. Said, which of these three are best? He's trying to choose something to do in Chicago, and he's got the city pass, which allows you to pick 7 attractions. So the Griffin Museum of Science and Industry. Dude, we can stop there. That would be my best. I'm not even going to read the rest of them. I'm just going to tell them Museum of Science and in Industry. Hold on. I'm sorry. We'll get back to the show. The Museum of Science and Industry is my favorite museum. I'm always very performative and very over the top. Museum in the world. Go in the coal mine. That's the coal mine. Though they make you pay extra for that. The Museum of Science and Industry is a really cool ass museum. It's gigantic. It's there on the campus of the University of Chicago. In Obama land there, Hyde Park area. It's cool. They got a coal mine. They built a coal mine because it's the Museum of Science and Industry. It teaches you all about science and the industry that built America. And they got a coal mine. You go into you go under it. They built a coal mine underneath the Museum of Science and Industry to give you like a tour of what it's like going into a coal mine. It's really cool. They also have a German sub. They got a real Nazi sub that you can tour. Tiny, very small. I thought the Germans were big. The bunks were very small. All right. So what was I saying? I was talking about tonight being a very big day. Today's a big day. We all know around these parts, if you listen to this show every day, and I hope that you do. Thanks so much. That Thursdays is game day. Oh, it's a game day, folks. My 15-year-old son, Texas high school football, full effect. That's all I'm thinking about. And it's against our arch rival. It is. It's nice. We got 2 home games in a row. This one's up there at Kimbrough. I think it's Kimbrough. Who am I talking to? Kimbrough Stadium. 2 home games in a row. Plano East taking on Plano West. The Battle of the Planos. So we're a little nervous. This is a very important game for districts. We would like to certainly win districts first, and then, I guess that's it at this level. Junior varsity. It's not like they're going downstate. So we need to win tonight is my point, and we're all very nervous. 8:30 a.m. this morning is when the family group text began popping off with a text from his mom. Why did I say it like that? Text from his mom. She's a lovely woman. I produced a child with her. She's an incredible lady. I don't know why I said it like that. It says here, big game day is his mom, 8:30 a.m. Big game day today, boys. Plano versus Plano West. 5:30 came around, and then she gave the tickets. And then I just responded by saying, LFG! Let's go. So that's what I got to do. So I got to leave here this afternoon. It's going to be like a 2-hour trek. It is. I don't know how to make it less than an hour and a half. From the design district to like basically Murphy is like an hour and a half minimum if I leave by 4 p.m. If I leave by 4 p.m., it's an hour and a half. I have no idea how long that trek is going to be. Maybe I'll listen to the Dumb Zone. Maybe I'll do that. No, I can't do that because they pay. You have to pay. That's like a pay model. And I can't do that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the pay model. I believe in begging for tips like a pauper on a street corner. That's so much better. All right. Adam says he's gonna take me up on the Museum of Science and Industry. He says done and done. Although I didn't see what the other choices were. What were the other choices? It was the Museum of Science and Industry, which is what I said. It's the Art Institute of Chicago. Okay, because what? Because Ferris Bueller? I mean, you're either, this is an easy one. You're either into really fancy old time museum caliber artworks or you're not. And if you're not, it's a terrible suggestion. I think the Museum of Science, I actually love the Museum of Science and Industry. I actually think it's pretty cool to just go in and sit and walk and look. It's very cool, but it's not for everybody. It's not like I've only got 48 hours in Chicago. And, maybe it is if you're into that. It's got giant lions out in front. That's cool. We like our big lions. But no, Museum of Science and Industry. Okay, so between the Museum of Science and Industry and the Art Institute of Chicago, Adam, I would say Museum of Science and Industry. The next choice that he offers me here is the Adler Planetarium. No. And you know me, I'm a space guy. I love the space. Maybe it's because I've been to the Adler Planetarium like a million times. It's boring. I think it's boring. Don't do that. Yeah, I don't like to do any of the things that require me to sit in a stadium on a bench, and then have someone talking to me about something. I just want to go to a museum and walk around. But anytime you go to like an aquarium or a planetarium or something, there's always this like, what are we in class now? I got to listen to this guy lecture about the stars. I don't care that much about this. So I would say the Museum of Science and Industry. All right, there we go. That's it. That's what we're going to call small talk for today. We covered a whole bunch of interesting things, at least to me, and I'm a narcissist, so I really have no gauge on what's interesting to other people. Frankie B is in the chat room. Hi, Frankie. D Vega with a question. I go to questions. Chat room's got questions. I can do questions before we get into the day's rant. D Vega says, did Russ ever beat the hard line? No. No. I don't know how else to say it. There was a competition there for a couple of years. And depending on how you wanted to declare victory, you might be able to say he did, because in radio, especially back then, we were parsing demographics to such a degree that anyone can claim victory almost for anything. You know what I mean? Well, what about men not college educated under 5'10"? Number one. You can claim victory on almost anything, but if we're being honest, no, the hard line was a juggernaut back then. Russ never beat the hard line. But I understand why people say that, because Russ would go on the air after the ratings came out and he would announce that he beat the hard line. You put it out there. It doesn't have to be true. People just have to believe it. And, it was always my problem with him. And why is that a bad thing? Because when your audience is believing you and you are deliberately misleading them, that tells me that you are of poor moral character. It just seems like the only way you're gonna, look, I'm a great example of this. The only way you survive doing this, especially now in 2024, the way I'm doing it, is by having some kind of bond with the listener where they actually trust you. And if you don't hold that as sacred, and I'm not to say that like, people trust me. No, but I think they know that even when I'm wrong, I'm honest. I'm sincerely wrong. Like, I really do just think I would never anyway. Nah, so Russ was full of shit. He was never beat the hard line. Let's see here. What else do we have? And by the way, I always like to wrap this with, just so people don't think anything, Russ was incredibly talented. He was incredibly talented, and he did a really good show. Just wasn't the kind of show that I did, or the kind of show that we came from. It was a lot of his stuff was very staged and performed, and that's great. That's great. As a matter of fact, that's how you win. You do. Hey man, I'm gonna take a shit on the boss's desk. Oh, and people listening are like, oh, he's so crazy. He's like the craziest guy. You got to listen to him. He took a shit on his boss's desk. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't blow anything up, but that's being a performer, and I do give credit for that. Just because I'm uncomfortable with that kind of thing, I can't say that people who can do it are somehow less than. They're not. They're performers. I always saw radio, and my partner Kelly did too. We always saw it as just like people hanging out with people, sort of having a big conversation where everybody's kind of equal. And then there's a whole other kind of radio. Howard Stern is a great example of it, where it wasn't just people having conversation. He was the king, and you were all there to listen to him. And I don't mean to deride what Stern did. I'm a big Stern fan. I think Stern's great. But that was more of like what Russ was. Russ was sort of above everybody, and I always found that a bit distasteful. Let's see. What else do we have? Frank says they had a fake helicopter traffic report. Yeah, but I think that one was fake on purpose. Like, I think that was just humor. Like, I do make a difference between, wasn't it Dan? I think it was Dan who was, pretending to be in a helicopter, and he was like a crazy helicopter pilot reporter guy. I think that was so obviously not real that it was just, that's just comedy, I think. There were just other things. There were just other things that he did for no purpose that I could see other than his own self-aggrandizement, that he would just lie about things just to like make him say. It was just weird. I'll give you an example of one that really bothered me. He did this for like 2 weeks. And it was like so absurd. And he was so convincing with it that I actually had to call a friend of mine in New York to see if there was any truth to this. So remember when David Letterman had his heart attack? He had a heart attack, and it kind of shocked a lot of people. And David Letterman was off the show for like 2 weeks, and they were bringing in guest hosts, to fill in for David Letterman. And it was, I think it was primarily Regis Philbin, but they did drop a couple other people in there as well. All big celebrities filling in for David Letterman while he had his heart attack. Russ Martin did like a whole 2-week thing where CBS is trying to get me to go fill in for Letterman, but I ain't going to do it. And people believed it. And I'm like, wait, what? Not a chance. Like, Russ Martin would be like, and the only connection was, of course, that, we had worked for CBS Radio at the time. So he was kind of playing that. And it was just real, like, he went so far as to be like, you know what? I don't need that. I don't want David Letterman. I don't even like David. Like, he came off like he was so big that he was telling CBS to go stick. They never offered it. They would have never. Some dude from Dallas who does afternoon. They ain't doing that. Okay. They got Regis Philbin. I don't know who else they got, but they got Regis Philbin. That's enough. So it was that kind of shit that always kind of bothered me about him. But because that was just ego. It's just like, oh my God. I'd go out and people, do you think Russ is going to take over for Letterman? And I'd be like, no, no, thanks for asking. But no, I don't think that Russ Martin is going to replace David Letterman on the David. But I did hear him talking about it. So, all right. D Vegas says, did you ever get weird vibes from Chloe? Chloe, of course, was a member of the Russ Martin show who a couple of years ago was caught being a child molester, I guess. He's in jail now. Did I ever get weird vibes from Chloe? That's a complicated question. We were friends. Chloe and I mean, not like I don't think he was ever over at my house, but we were friends. We worked at the same radio station. Everybody liked Chloe. That's why that situation was so bizarre. Everybody liked Chloe. Chloe was like super cool. But when you take a larger view of things, I guess maybe he was odd. He kind of had this, his whole vibe was, yeah, whatever, man. I'm like a beach bum, and he, I don't know. Look, man, I like Chloe. I liked Chloe. You can't change your life experience. Just because it turns out that he was a child molester, it doesn't mean that the times that we spent together, I mean, it wasn't like, I can't believe I'm having this much fun with a child molester. This is crazy. I mean, it wasn't that. He was a cool guy. And you know what? A lot of you people felt the same way. He was very high profile. He's public. He's on the radio. People loved Chloe. So did I ever get weird vibes from him? I mean, just that he was an eccentric character. He was an eccentric character, and that's why he worked on the radio. I mean, that's about the extent of the weird vibes. Other than that, we would have told you, the Pugs and Kelly show would have told you at that time that Dan O'Malley and Chloe were the only two people that we thought were decent human beings over on the Russ Martin show. Dan O'Malley and Chloe. They were the two that were like, oh, and guess what happened there? Dan O'Malley, thankfully, hasn't disappointed. He's a terrific guy. But Chloe, yeah, man, that was a shock. Holy shit. And nobody knew. Nobody knew. Not a chance in hell. All the people who were involved with Chloe when that shit went down, not a one of them knew. I mean, I'm completely not a one. How? No, it wasn't an obvious thing. I'll tell you what, it kind of became obvious though after we heard the charges. Then we all ran to his Facebook page to look and re-examine some of the pictures that he's put up there, and there were some, with the added information that we had when re-examining the picture gallery in Chloe's Facebook page. It did seem okay. He sure does hang around with a lot of young girls. That's weird. Wasn't he a guitar teacher? Didn't he teach little kids guitar? I don't know, man. Whatever. It's very sad. It is a very sad situation. All around. Victims, people who feel completely betrayed by this. Me? I'm like, fuck. Ugh. Good thing was, though, it's not like we were close enough friends where this is a real dilemma for me. If we were like real close friends, it would be a dilemma. It's like, oh God, but what about? But I wasn't that way with him. So I'm like, oh fuck, he's a child molester? All right. Guess I don't have to think about him anymore. Crazy. Let's see here. Sports Bros. He also said he was negotiating with XM Satellite. Well, that he probably was, Sports Bros, because we were all talking. I mean, Kelly and I went to New York. We were wined and dined by Sirius. And we also talked to XM. XM back then was on a hiring spree. If you got numbers in a major market, they were talking to you. So, but none of us were ever going to. Well, that's not true. I was actually going to New York. Dumbass partner Kelly ruined that one for me. Good one, Kelly. But we got over it. And we stayed. We stayed for like another 7 years. But I was going. I wanted to work at Sirius XM in New York with Opie and Anthony. We were supposed to be Ron and Fez. They ended up bringing in Ron and Fez from down in Florida. But that was only because Kelly and I turned it down. It would have been fun in those days to have worked with Opie and Anthony and Ant and all that. That just would have been fun. In New York, right? I always wanted to live in New York for a short period of time. I always wanted to live in New York where I could afford to live in New York. And Sirius back then was paying salaries that would have made it very affordable to live in New York. So, but we didn't do that. Let's see here. D Vega. Oh, D Vega. I'll answer anybody's question. That's all right. Vega got a reporter at Johnson Space Center in Houston. What is that? Hold on. What's that, Jimmy Smells? Something about the Johnson Space Center? We're going to get started here. Boy, we're late already, huh? We're already late on this. Okay, so yeah, good. Al says, is it me or does it look a little darker in the studio today? So it's not you. It is definitely a different lighting situation in here. Fucking around with everything. It took me hours to kind of get to something that I like, and I like this. I like this level of lighting. Any more and I look washed out. I like having the shadow. I appreciate you pointing it out, but this is how it's going to be set from now on. I like the lights because of I like the lights being a little bit dim because of the color, the graffiti background, and it's kind of it's a warm. I think it's warm. Does it feel warm? I think it feels warm, which is good. That's good. Barney says, Ron and Ron were awesome when I was in Georgia. I am not familiar with Ron and Ron. I'm not familiar with Ron. Is that a Ron Bennington thing? Ron Bennington of I don't know. Frank with a good point. Yeah, I mean, if I had moved to New York, my kid would not exist. But we only think that that's a shame because we don't know what the other option is. I mean, what if I had 5 of them or what? I mean, you can't really look at it that way. Let's be fair. Might have moved to New York, and who knows? But yeah, you're right. Ultimately, I think knowing what we know now, my boy would not exist. So it was a good move. All right, let's get started. Let's get started with the show. As I said, if you would like to help support the show, our producer today is Barney. Thank you so much. You can drop a little something there. You can go either into the Venmo or the Cash App. I appreciate that. That's how the show runs. You guys are the best. We do it every day, round about noon, for 3 years now. Okay, let's get started. It is the rant for the 19th day of September, year of our Lord, 2024. There are 263 days in the year. That's because of leap year. Leap year screwed it up a little. 263 days in the year. There's 103 left. So get those New Year's Eve plans started. All right, let's do quarter one. This is antecedently on this day. These are events that have occurred on this day in history, and let's see if we can learn anything from them. Antecedently on this day, in 1796, George Washington's farewell address is printed across America as an open letter to the public. I don't know what I was going to salute. I don't know. George Washington. All right, there you go. He said bye on this day. Antecedently on this day in 1985. That's right. Absolutely nothing happened in this world that piqued my interest between 1796 and 1985, because it was on this day that Tipper Gore founded the what do they call it? The Parents Music Resource Center. Remember that? 1985, Tipper Gore and other political wives formed the Parents Music Resource Center, as Frank Zappa, John Denver, and other musicians testify at U.S. congressional hearings on obscenity in rock music. Yeah, remember that was stupid. Mm-hmm. That was Frank Zappa was a regular on a radio show that I worked on in Chicago. Every week. Hey, Frank Zappa's on the phone again. You pick up the hotline and be like, hey, I want to talk to Kevin. It's Zappa. I'm like, oh, it's Frank Zappa. All right, hold on, Mr. Zappa. Call me Frank. Put him on hold. He was so smart. And I think that people only first realized that he was smart after he appeared in front of Congress at these congressional hearings. Him and Dee Snider just blew those hearings apart. Dee Snider shows up, in his, what is by today's standards, cross-dressing. He looks like a drag queen. And he starts speaking like somebody educated in the Ivy League about these very complex issues, First Amendment issues and all of that. Dee Snider was very impressive. But Frank Zappa was the one who really crushed it. It was on this day in 1985. The Parents Music Resource Center opens up hearings on Capitol Hill. On this day in 1995, the Washington Post and the New York Times published the Unabomber Manifesto. They both got copies. They called each other. They said, should we put it out? And they said, yep. And they both put it out simultaneously. It was the rantings of a madman. Now you must only like, follow, and subscribe Pugs and Company on YouTube or Facebook to get that. But back then, you had to wait for the New York Times. Here's a fun fact about the Unabomber and me, old Ted Kaczynski. Ted Kaczynski and me, born in the same hospital. Thank you. That's right. Little Company of Mary Hospital in Evergreen Park, Illinois. That's where I was born. That's where Ted Kaczynski was born. Somebody else, too. There's a lot of famous people that were born in that hospital. I want to say Kanye was born in that hospital, but I'm not sure. I think he might be. All right, let's go. Antecedently on this day in the year 2008, a Learjet carrying 60 musicians, Travis Barker and DJ A.M. Goldstein among them, crashes during rejected takeoff from Columbia Metropolitan Airport in South Carolina, killing 4 of the 6 people on board. Barker and Goldstein both survived. Okay, so remember this? When this happened, Travis Barker from Blink-182 and DJ A.M., who I think at the time was dating Nicole Richie. That's why he was famous. He was just a DJ at a bar in L.A., and he happened to be a DJ at a bar in L.A. that celebrities went to. So, I don't know, celebrity chicks started dating him, and all of a sudden, he's like the best. I'm like, isn't he just a DJ? Aren't there a million other DJs as good as him? He's just a DJ from a club that celebrities went to. I think he's dead now, so maybe I oughtn't rant so hard on DJ Adam Goldstein. He's, he comes from money. You just know DJ AM. His dad is like the world's foremost orthodontist. Well, anyway, this plane crashed. Tried to take off, didn't get any lift. Came down in a bunch of trees, burst into flames. Jeez, Travis Barker apparently burned over his body. What an awful. I don't know if I want to survive a plane crash. Got to be honest about that. All right, there you go. Not born on this day, but in 2008, DJ AM and Travis Barker's plane crashed. He died of an overdose, didn't he? DJ AM, like a couple of years later, like survived the plane crash and then, mishandled a shot of junk. It's like, dude, you survived a plane crash and now you're just going to. I should probably check this out before I go any further, and I shouldn't go any further at all, but I do want to see how DJ AM died. I think that's important because I want to say he died of a drug overdose. Let's see here. Yeah, 2009. So he died in 2009. The death. Goldstein was found dead in his New York City apartment. So far, looking good for me thinking he OD'd. Goldstein was found dead in his New York City apartment. Drug paraphernalia, including a crack pipe. That's what it was. He survived a goddamn plane crash. Don't tell me about there's a God. Don't tell me about there's a God and it saved DJ AM's life just so that he could overdose on crack. That's not a thing. You don't overdose on crack, do you? Antecedently on this day in the year 2022, the state funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. Can you believe it's 2 years ago? 2 years ago since the Queen died. That is crazy. All right, quarter two, folks. Ba-dum. They say it's their birthday. Birthdays. Born on this day, 1926, James Lipton. That poofer. That guy, James Lipton. I didn't know. I love that guy. That guy I watched. Do you remember when Inside the Actors Studio first started? That guy, I was so curious about that guy. I'm like, who is this guy? Inside the Actors Studio was a show that I want to say was on Bravo, maybe. And all it was the Actors Studio. The Actors Studio in New York City is a very famous school for actors. And James Lipton was, I guess, the director of the Actors Studio. And he had this idea to fill a theater with students and then bring back a different graduate of the Actors Studio, which I think was the prerequisite early on. But then I just think it became whoever's famous can come. And he'd sit and he'd do these interviews with these people, these big celebrities. It's really good. James Lipton had this way, a totally unique, wildly different style of interviewing, very pretentious, very New York Upper East Side, very, very like society, but it was fascinating. I loved him. James Lipton, born on this day in 1926, American actor, writer, producer, screenwriter. Born on this day in 1928. I got to be honest. When people say picture Batman, go. Boom. The first Batman I picture is Adam West. That's it. Batman, boom. It's Adam West. All right, I'm going to try and think of Michael Keaton. All right. Think about Batman. Boom. No, Adam West. It's Adam West. He's my Batman. He will always be my Batman. Born on this day in 1928, Adam West. Born on this day in 1952, Nile Rodgers. Great producer, funk guitar, bass player, guitar. He plays everything. But he's most famous for, is this most famous? Probably not most famous, but he's, I think, initially famous for his work with the band Chic. And they did the song, Africa. You know what that song, all right, here's a fun story about that song. Nile Rodgers, excuse me. They weren't famous, and they were living in New York, and they were in line waiting to get out of here. I'm sorry. They weren't famous. They were in New York. They were waiting in line to get into Studio 54, and somebody was told to fuck off. and they started singing, the people in the band. Like, not one of the people that was with them, but so like you got Nile Rodgers and you got the other members of Freak. Sorry, I don't know who they were. Chic. I don't know who they are. But they're standing there, and somebody at Studio 54 gets told to fuck off. And so the members of Chic started like laughing about that, and they started singing a song and creating a beat for Fuck Off. Fuck Off. And that become Freak Out or No Freak. But that's the origin story. They just couldn't record a song where they went, fuck off. So they fancied it up. Nile Rodgers, born on this day in 1952. Born on this day in 1957, Danimal, good old number 99. Boy, a hero of my youth. Dan Hampton, NFL Hall of Famer, Chicago Bear great. Good old number 99 of the 85 Bears. Danimal Hampton. Good old Arkansas boy. Born on this day in 1958, Lita Ford. I loved Lita Ford. Lita, first of all, Runaways were a cool band. Okay, so let's not, but Lita Ford, like, my partner Kelly, who I mentioned from time to time, she used to have that obsession with that Lita Ford song where she used to just like to read, like dramatic reading. Like she always thought that Lita Ford song would make a great dramatic reading. And she used to be like, I went to a party on a Saturday night. Didn't get laid, but I got in a fight. It ain't no big thing. That makes me laugh. Still, just think of her saying that. She's like, what kind of girl? She used to be like, what kind of girl is she? What kind of girl? Like, that's her Saturday night. She goes out, she gets laid with some rando. She's in a fight, just trampy ass metal bitch from 1988. Anyway, I like Lita Ford. She was very cool in the Runaways. The Runaways are a very cool band. Lita Ford is cool. She just, cashed out at some point. She was in her early 30s, and she's like, okay, so the Runaways, they're not going to give me any kind of income, so I'll just cut a song. And she became famous for a little bit. Probably made a lot of money. Lita Ford, good for her. Lita Ford, born on this day in 1958. Born on this day in 1960, Mario Batali. I love Mario Batali. That's right, I'll say it. I love Mario Batali. Mario Batali was that cook. He's one of these radio whores back in the day. He would do radio, whatever. Hey, somebody want to talk to me so I can talk about my sauce? He would come on. Mario Batali was a wonderful man. He was so nice. He was so warm. I've been to dinner with him. Like, he comes into town. He's like, hey, after the interview, this is the first time I went to dinner with him. Went to dinner with him twice. He goes, Kelly couldn't go, but he's like, hey, so I'm having this dinner tonight. It's at the mansion. And I'm like, okay. It's at the mansion. The mansion in Dallas is like really nice, like the nicest hotel in town. At least it used to be. He's like, I'm having this dinner tonight at the mansion, and all of the big chefs here in town, they're making their thing. We're talking, we're going to eat, and it's going to be great. Oh, I can't wait. Pugs, you should come. I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll go to that. So I hung out with them and all the chefs, and it was fun. I brought a girl. Oh, you better believe I got laid that night. That was like a great date at the mansion. I love Mario Batali. Mario Batali is also a guy who, and this is what's so crazy about him, and I don't know how he does it. Mario Batali used to send Kelly and I Christmas cards every year. Every year we'd get Christmas cards from Mario Batali. And we'd also get birthday cards. I don't know how he found out our birthdays. But we got birthday cards from Mario Batali. He was such a nice guy. And then Me Too happened, and everybody destroyed his career because he's an ugly man who likes to flirt with chicks who are out of his league, and he was deemed a creeper perv. He lost everything. A number of women. I swear to God. First of all, Mario Batali, I can tell you firsthand experience, incredibly warm. He is one of these dudes. He's an Italian kid from a big, giant Italian family. And you know what his first move is when he meets you? He brings you in real close and gives you a big hug. The way people used to be allowed to. People used to be allowed to be warm and generous and bigger than life and loving. And then at some point, that stopped being okay. And it just became everybody who's of that ilk is a creeper perv trying to cop a feel. And that's just not fair. Now, I do believe that there are creeper pervs out there. We've seen it. We've seen the old man who hugs the young girl. Just a little bit too long. Like, let go, Grandpa. Nah, come on. 1, 2, 3, break. That's all. 3-second hugs. And again, my experiences with Mario Batali were anecdotal. I never saw him when he was drunk. I know he drinks. He likes to drink. He's a mangia. Why? He's that guy. He's everything you want a big, fun Italian chef to be. But I don't know what he was like around girls in his New York City bar, the Spotted Pig or whatever. I don't know. I know that a whole bunch of women, well, actually 2 women from the Spotted Pig came forward and said that he tried to rape them. They went to trial. He won both cases. Both were thrown out for lack of evidence. There was no evidence. And because the 2 women bringing charges had brought charges against other men in the past, so it wasn't good. Now, that was in the Me Too. That got a lot of headlines. So some other people came forward. Someone in Boston came forward. In every single case, not one of them went to trial. They were all thrown out by the judges because of either lack of overall evidence or the people bringing the charges were just sketchy as fuck. So anyway, Mario Batali's career was entirely destroyed. And there you have it. Thanks, Me Too. You did a lot of good. There's going to be a reckoning for the Me Too movement. I swear to God. I think it's an important issue, and I think we all know that there are dangerous men out there who took advantage of women, and they should be caught, and they should be prosecuted. I just think that we cut with a mighty wide scythe in the initial days of the Me Too movement. I think we just took everybody down. I think any ugly man who tried to hit on a girl and was deemed creepy was suddenly begging for his career. No handsome people ever got Me Too. They came close with Armie Hammer. That dude had to be accused of eating somebody in order to get everybody else is like a Louis C.K. or a Harvey Weinstein or a Mario Batali. Only people who were unfuckable got Me Too. That's it. Derek Jeter didn't get Me Too'd. Tom Brady didn't get Me Too'd. Stop it. But you want to go fuck over Mario Batali, a truly nice, decent guy. Okay, whatever. Born on this day in 1960, Mario Batali. Born on this day in 1974, how about Jimmy Fallon? No, how about fuck Jimmy Fallon? I don't like Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon can ride my nut. Is that a thing? Is that even? I don't know. I just said it. Ride my nut. I wouldn't want Jimmy Fallon. No, he can't. Never mind, Jimmy. You're not. Here's it. Jimmy Fallon, you're not allowed to ride my nut. I don't like Jimmy Fallon. From the very moment I saw Jimmy Fallon. Now, folks, some of you have been with me for a long time. You know that I'm tremendous at 2 things. 1, miniature golf. Some say the greatest to ever live. So I'm great at mini golf. I'm also great at judging people. They're like, just sight unseen. Like if I just see somebody and I'm like watching them and maybe I spend like 30 seconds with them, I can tell you if they're a dickhead or not. I can be like, this dude's a jackass. Yeah, Jimmy Fallon sets off all of those bars. Now, the first time I actually have met Jimmy Fallon, not hung out with him, but like been in the same room or whatever, Jimmy Fallon was in the green room at a radio station that I worked at all the way back in the 90s. It was when he was brand new on Saturday Night Live. He wasn't even like a name yet, but he was on Saturday Night Live and he was on the Jonathan Brandmeier show. He was doing the Johnny B show. And my show, the show that I was a part of, was on after that. And the green room was right next to our office. And I went into the green room to grab something and I saw Jimmy Fallon there. And I went to pick up a paper and Jimmy Fallon went, "Hey, my guy, that's mine." Like, that's it. That's my entire. And I remember thinking, no, actually, these are for the shows, and I'm just going to now deliver them to I didn't say that, but I was like, oh, yeah, you know what? Do you need something? Can I get you something? Because it wasn't my job as an associate producer to get into it. Oh, no, actually, dude, you're a guest here, and these are mine, and I determine, according to my job description, where these fucking papers go. Anyway, he was a dick. He just gave me a bad vibe. Like, he was like, and here's also why I know Jimmy Fallon's an asshole. Because his entire public persona is the direct opposite of, hey, my guy, those are mine. They weren't his. First of all, they were not his papers. He didn't bring them in. He was maybe looking at it, but he wasn't looking at it when I was doing that. But they're not his papers. So this is absurd from the beginning. But his entire public persona is, I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'm not. Want to know who Jimmy Fallon is? I'll tell you who Jimmy Fallon is. Jimmy Fallon in high school, let's put it in the context of high school. Jimmy Fallon is the guy in high school who your girlfriend is really good friends with. He hangs out with chicks, hot chicks too. He hangs out with all the hot chicks. He's like the lone guy. And he's not gay. It's obvious that he's not gay. But he hangs out with all the hot chicks because he can't throw a football, because he's kind of like, just basically a little D-bag guy, tiny, but I'm cute. And they keep him around because he's so cute. And he's not threatening. Certainly not threatening to your girlfriend, because your girlfriend, she's with a real man like you. Well, as soon as you go out of town for state or whatever, he's going to bang your girlfriend at a party. You're going to find out that Jimmy Fallon banged your girlfriend at a party. That's who Jimmy Fallon is. That's who he is. Yeah, okay. Like the big quarterback, or whatever. You're like, yeah, okay. I guess it's fine. I guess it's fine if you sleep over at Jimmy's house. He's kind of a fucking pussy. I'm not worried about that. And then he bangs your girlfriend. Now, all this is made up, but it's, I'm a good judge of character, and I can see these kinds of things being. I bet you Jimmy Fallon has banged someone's girlfriend before when they were out of town. That's all I'm saying. So screw him. I don't like him. I don't find him funny. I find him too smug. I think I'm so cute. I think he's playing it too hard. You're a 50-something-year-old man, dude. Stop it. I don't like him. Don't like him. You know who else has a little bit of that, but not to the extent that it's that irritating? Mike Myers. Mike Myers has a little bit of that. The difference is that Mike Myers is uber talented and can pull it off, and because he contributes in other ways. Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon doesn't contribute at all. All right, let's do it. Those are birthdays. Quickly, let's do deads. Here we go. These are people who've died on this day, people who have died. Excuse me. I mentioned this guy yesterday. We were talking about yesterday, J.D. Souther died. J.D. Souther, a great singer-songwriter. One of the guys most credited with, the whole desert rock sound, the mixture of country and Southern California music. We talked about him, and I said, there's a whole bunch of these guys from back in this day who just died at like 26 or 27. So we didn't really see them throughout the 70s, but their contributions in the moment have gone on to just influence some of the biggest and most culturally significant works of the past 30, 40, 50 years. J.D. Souther is that guy. And I mentioned a couple of other people. I think I mentioned Chris Hillman. I think I mentioned Graham Parsons, who died on this day in 1973. Graham Parsons was a member of, he was a member of the Byrds. I think that's like first where he kind of came in. And then he and Chris Hillman, they left the Byrds and they founded the Flying Burrito Brothers, which were essentially considered ground zero for what we now call alt rock, okay? Alt country rock. That's I'm sorry, that's the way to say it. Anyway, he died. He had nothing but critical success. How about that? He had the critics eating out of the palm of his hand, but he didn't have a pot to piss in because he didn't sell any records. And then he OD'd and he died, like a whole bunch of people from his generation. 26 years old, Graham Parsons died. He's going to hell. He's, but he died on this day in 1973. Graham Parsons. It's a name to remember. Look, the Byrds album, Sweethearts of the Rodeo, right? If you're a fan of the Byrds, if you're a fan of that era of music, Sweethearts of the Rodeo is considered the quintessential alt country record. If the Byrds did it. If the Byrds were to every season, turn. They made a hard right turn when Graham Parsons joined the band, and they created Sweethearts of the Rodeo, which is considered by many to be a top 10 greatest rock and roll album of all time. Graham Parsons, he died on this day in 1973, and he's going to hell because he lived the life of a rock star in the 70s. Dead on this day in 1995, Orville Redenbacher. This grandpa to the children of the corn, right? This guy. Remember, are you old enough? Maybe not. I'm probably the oldest guy here. I remember when Orville Redenbacher became a thing. He wasn't always a thing. Like, Orville Redenbacher wasn't around in the 70s, but at some point in the 80s, we suddenly had all of these new corporate icons in America. We had always had Colonel Sanders, right? That was a big one. We didn't have Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc at McDonald's, he created Ronald McDonald as brand icons and all that. But it was Colonel Sanders. And then really Orville Redenbacher, he came next. And then we had a whole bunch of fake ones, like Bartles and James. Remember those two old guys? They're not really the owners of that company. They're just a couple of old out-of-work actors. Then you got Ben and Jerry. They were real. Ben and Jerry were real. Orville Redenbacher, though, apparently he was real, and he was a corn guy, and man, did he look weird. He looked like he lived in a cornfield, didn't he? He looked like part scarecrow, part creepy preacher from Poltergeist. Remember that guy from Poltergeist who came knocking on the door? Repent or you see? Yeah, that whole guy. That's what he looked like. So where's Orville Redenbacher going? Is he going to heaven or hell? I got no reason to not put him in heaven. We'll put him in heaven. Did the prominence of Orville Redenbacher as an American brand icon coincide with the rise of the microwave oven? And more to the point, did the rise of the microwave oven give rise to the popcorn industry as a whole, of which Orville Redenbacher was a key component of? This will be the subject of my upcoming TED Talk. Thank you. Dead on this day in 2015, Jackie Collins. Old British whore. That's what she was. Old British whore. And I say that lovingly. Jackie Collins. Do you guys remember her? Jackie Collins was the sister of Joan Collins. Joan Collins from Dynasty and all of that. I think Jackie was her younger sister. And Joan Collins was kind of hot. And then Jackie Collins was like her younger sister who was also kind of hot. But let's be honest, her younger sister, we're talking about a woman who was already probably 40. So, but in 1985, it's like, oh, and they looked alike. And it's like, oh, but she was a writer. Jackie Collins wrote every skank-ass romance novel that got turned into an NBC movie of the week for like 20 years. Jackie Collins. She's all sexy and dirty, like her books were all dirty and stuff. Jackie Collins. She's probably going to hell. They seem like awful people. And I know that's just the public perception. But like the Collins sisters and like the Gabor sisters, and they just got this whole yucko vibe. I don't like them. All right, so there you go. Jackie Collins. Also, you would think, well, doesn't she go to hell automatically? And I'm like, no, because she's not an actress. Jackie Collins is a novelist. Joan Collins, her sister, goes to hell automatically for being an actress. But Jackie is not. Let's see. What do we have here? That's it, guys. We are done. All right. Let's get into quarter four. These are the hot topics and all the things that people are talking about today. Big story today. Let's see. Let me pull this up. What is the big story? Do I even know? It's just not really an overriding big story today. We didn't have any like pagers blow up or anything. That was cool the last 2 days. What's going on, Israel? Can't you make flat screens explode? What's going on, man? Nothing today so far. Unless there is something. Hold on. Maybe I had to jump over to the Twitter box, see if there's anything breaking. Let's see, but I don't see anything breaking. I don't see that. No, I don't see that. Yeah. All right. I don't see anything breaking. All right. So here we go. Let's get in with the big story. The number one, the top story, the thing that we need to mention first, and that is Fed rate cut. That's right. The Fed. I'm just going to read this bullshit. We're going to go through this quick stuff. I don't know anything about this shit, so I'll just read it to you. The Federal Reserve has cut its benchmark interest rate from its 23-year high with consequences for debt, savings, auto loans, mortgages, and other forms of borrowing by consumers and businesses. On Wednesday, the Fed, I'm not even 100% sure I know what the Fed is. Oh, I know I'm supposed to be a grown-up, and I'm supposed to be like, well, let me tell you about my thoughts on the Fed. I think that the Fed needs to be defunded because I don't fucking know what the Fed is, and neither do you. No, what is it exactly? No, I know what it is because I'm a grown-up. I'm a grown man who knows important things. Fuck you. It's all a fucking shell game. The central bank, here's what it is. On Wednesday, the Fed announced that it reduced its key rate by an unusually large 0.5 percentage point. Ooh. They lowered it to between 4.7 5, and 5%. This is the first rate cut in more than 4 years. The central bank is acting because what the fuck is the central bank? That sounds Orwellian. What is a central bank? And the Fed. I don't know any of this shit. All right, there you go. If you want comprehensive breakdown on the economic state of America today, this ain't the place, man. This ain't the place. So we're going to move on from that. How about Diddy? Let's talk about Diddy. Diddy was back in court yesterday. Now, 2 days ago, Diddy appeared in court for the very first time, and he wanted bail. He said, I want bail. And they set the bail at $25 million. They're like, well, okay, if you really want bail, we'll do a bail hearing, but it's going to cost you $25 million. Diddy was like, whatever. I got that in my couch. I got that in my couch. So he goes in there and he's like, I want bail, and here's the $25 million. And the judge said, nope, you can't have bail because I'm going to agree with the prosecution. The prosecution made a case that you should be denied bail because you're a threat to the community, because you're a dangerous person, which is just such bullshit. You don't have to keep your kids home from school because Diddy is out on the streets. Diddy has been out on the streets for the last 40 years, and your kids have gone to school perfectly fine. He is not a threat to the community. You know what he's a threat to? He might be a threat to your 21-year-old daughter who's going to school at UCLA and hanging out in Los Angeles clubs late at night. He might be a threat to her, but that's very specific targeting. Wouldn't you agree? So this whole idea that Diddy is somehow, he's a danger to the community, that's nonsense. What he is he's a flight risk. That's why you don't give him bail. So anyway, the judge denied him. The judge agreed day 1, day 2 of this Diddy thing. The judge agreed that he was a danger to the community and should be remanded to the Metropolitan Manhattan Correction Facility, whatever it is, the jail there in Manhattan. So he goes and he spends the night. And then the next day, because he spends a lot on lawyers, the lawyers are back in court for a second. They're like, we want to appeal that bail hearing, and we've sweetened the pot, Your Honor. This is the arrogance of Diddy's attorneys. They think that they're in control. Your Honor, you're going to want to hear this new offer that we got. What? You don't get to do that. So here's what they did. They came back to the judge and they said, Your Honor, we'd like you to reconsider the appeal, this appeal for bail to be granted to our client. And I'll tell you what we're going to do, Your Honor. We're gonna raise it to $50 million. You said $25 million yesterday. We said, fine, we're going to give you 50. It's going to be a $50 million bail. And here's something else we promise, Your Honor. Again, this is happening yesterday. Here's something else we promise, Your Honor. We're not going to let him have any chicks over to the house. The whole time that he's under home confinement, he can't have no chicks, Your Honor. And the judge is like, I don't fucking care if he has chicks. He's going to get in a plane and end up on some island in the middle of the South Pacific. He ain't going anywhere. He ain't going anywhere. So 2 times in a row now, Diddy has been denied bail from this judge in Manhattan. He's going to be in jail for a long time, man. All right, so now let's talk about that, because it's kind of a complicated issue for me. And I got to try and remain intellectually consistent. I do not like Sean Combs. I do not like Diddy. I do not like P. Diddy. I do not like Puff Daddy. I do not like Puff. I do not like any of these people. I have always found him, and I've been consistent over the past 20 years plus, I've always found him to be just a little bit much. Just a little bit over the top for someone that I see as essentially an A&R man for a record company. That's what he is. I had this argument yesterday on WBAP with James. I'm like, he's not a rapper. He's like, yes, he is. I'm like, no, he's not. No, he's not. He's a record company guy who created a label and then went out and found a bunch of really talented rappers, and then he inserted himself on their albums, even though he's really just the record company guy. So I've always had a problem with him. I've also always had a problem with the way he's been accepted into civilized society. And it's not like they shouldn't accept it. It's not like I have a problem with him being accepted at all. It's in the manner in which he was allowed to conduct himself. Puff Daddy for 20 years somehow created this brand where he was like a god on earth, where when Puff Daddy walked in, oh, everybody had to get out of the way for Puff Daddy. I'm like, the guy's a fucking record company, dude. This is all a construct. None of this is real. Why are you treating this fucking guy like he's somebody, like he's Elvis fucking Presley? So I always had a problem with that. So I've always been a little bit eye-rolly when it comes to P. Diddy. Like, oh yeah, this guy. All right, whatever. And we just went along with it. People were just like, he got cast in movies where he played himself, but he played himself as this like uber mogul who nobody could fuck with. The show Empire, Lucas Lyon, whatever his name is, Lucius Lyon, the lead character played by Terrence, whatever. He was supposed to have been based on P. Diddy. Except for his backstory, they made him a gangbanger and all that stuff. P. Diddy's real backstory is that he went to prep school. Okay? Oh, yeah. No, Diddy came up on the street. Diddy went to a fancy prep school where he became friends with, I want to say, the son of Don Was. You remember the band Was Not Was? But Don Was was a music producer and a record company guy and a white guy. And his kid went to a fancy prep school where he met a young P. Diddy. Remember that song? Remember Was Not Was? Get on the floor. Everybody do the dinosaur. That guy had a dorky little privileged Connecticut private school son who became buddies with P. Diddy. And apparently that's how he got a record. He got an internship with a record company. And hey, you can't stop him. The dude's a grinder. The guy is actually, once inside, he definitely did some stuff. So he's a grinder. But I just always rejected the mythology behind P. Diddy and how he was allowed to be treated here in America. He's just gross. He's such a weird guy. And then for years, we had heard these stories about his infamous white parties. Puff Daddy is having another one of his Miami yacht white parties, and it's the hottest ticket in town. Everybody from Prince Harry to Brad Pitt is here. As was his white parties used to do. So what are these freak-off parties now? Are these freak-off parties that he's being accused of having, where people had sex and did all kinds of drugs and all that stuff? These freak-off parties, are these the white parties? Like, did we just, because we didn't know of the depravity that was going on at the white parties, the public and entertainment tonight, we're here on the side of another one of these Puff Daddy white parties, did we just call them the white? But in reality, is there a distinction between Puffy's famous white parties and what we now know to be freak-offs, is my question. Because we know people who were at the white parties. Oh, you go to Bing and Google P. Diddy white party or yacht party or whatever. You'll see all the celebrities. So this brings me to my other thing. Again, I don't like P. Diddy. So anything that humiliates him in the public sphere brings me joy. So I'm like, they're screwing with him. P. Diddy's having a bad day. Like, I like that. Now I'm going to say something that some people might be a little bit upset with me for. I'm not sure I know what he did. I know what he, obviously there are things he's being accused of. My point is this. What exactly at these parties was he doing that Led Zeppelin didn't do in the 70s? What exactly is it that he's doing at these parties that Motley Crue didn't do in the 1980s? What exactly is he doing at these parties? I mean, until recently, until modern times, the debauched excesses of rock stars and celebrities were romanticized and mythologized in book after book. I have read 3 books on the subject of groupieism in the 1970s with rock bands. Woman's name is Patti DeBarrs. Google her right now. Patti DeBarrs, DESBARRES. She initially wrote the book I'm With the Band, which was a story. She's so you know Almost Famous. Remember the movie Almost Famous? Okay, so this is based in large part on Patti DeBarrs and her recollection. So she was a groupie and she got handed off between bands in the 1970s. And she wrote in detail about the things that happened to her. But she didn't write them in detail from the perspective of a victim. She wrote them from the perspective of a girl who was a groupie who was there and felt that it was her job to, in any way, shape, or form, please her man. By today's standards, a lot of people hear that and they're like, but back then they were consenting adults and they were fine. Oh, yeah. I remember the first time Bob Dylan drugged me and raped me in my... Like, those are the kinds of stories... I used Bob Dylan's name. That's probably not fair. But those are the kinds of stories that she wrote about in these books. And then she would talk to the rock stars themselves. Like, wasn't that funny? Remember when you raped me with a golf club? Of course, she didn't use rape. But, you know, through the lens of 2024, when we apply that to P. Diddy, my thing is this. I don't know that any of these people who were discussing as victims of the horrifying behavior of P. Diddy, is there an argument to be made that many of them were willing participants? Is there an argument to be made that there were a lot of people who would have done a lot of awful things just to get an invite to be inside Puff Daddy's orbit? I went to a P. Diddy party. I mean, it just seems... So I don't know. What exactly it is. They found drugs. They didn't have drugs in Led Zeppelin's hotel room? They didn't have drugs? Well, they found drugs. They found handguns. They found weapons. None of these weapons so far have been deemed illegal, federal gun charges. We haven't seen that. So I have to imagine that P. Diddy, who had a lot of money, probably bought a lot of guns. And he probably bought them legally because it's America and he could have as many as he wants. But he's got guns. I'm sure Motley Crue had guns. Drugging women. This is his big crime. He drugged women. He made them take things, and then people had sex with them. Yeah, it's called slipping someone a Mickey. There's also something called Spanish fly. This has been behavior that society has accepted for about 70 years. Now, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that maybe now isn't the time where we start going, hey, this is bad stuff. But I'm confused by the demonization of Puff Daddy. As I said, I already think he's an asshole. So that's why I'm kind of conflicted. I'm like going with it. I'm like, let's hang him from the, whatever. Let's ring him up, man. Let's put this guy in jail for the rest of his life. I'm all for that. But that might be because I just dislike the guy and think he's a D-bag. When I objectively just look at what he's being accused of, I'm like, yeah, it all reads pretty bad, but isn't this just typical rock star behavior of the past 50 years? Isn't this the kind of stuff that trashing hotel rooms and oh man, we're crazy. I remember we threw a TV out the window, man. Landed on a car and it was down. It was crazy. We threw that window, and then they write about that in the book. And what you never hear about is, the 40-year-old woman who was sitting in the passenger seat of the car when the television came crashing down. If that same story was done by a rock band in 2024, oh my God. You think Dave Matthews pooping in the Chicago River made headlines? Imagine that. A member of the Imagine Dragons is being held without bond for the attempted murder of a person after he threw a television from his hotel room. See, that's how we look at these things now, but we used to be a little bit more permissive about them. So, I don't know. Here's the most damning thing about the whole Puff Daddy, P. Diddy thing. Here's why I will be comfortable with just throwing him in jail for a while. I mean, forget about all the other stuff, the salacious details about the parties and all that. We saw the video of him beating the fuck out of Cassie. We saw that video. We saw the hotel, put him in jail. That's all I need. I don't need all this other stuff, although I welcome it because anything, again, that embarrasses P. Diddy is okay by me. But that's it. The Cassie video is enough for me. And all the salacious details, I'm just like, yeah, man, you ever read books about 70s rock stars? All of these things that you're saying that he's doing, they were doing it back then too. Google search Led Zeppelin shark. Do that. Just Google search Led Zeppelin shark story. Oh, this is one of the most fabled stories in rock and roll, where they got a groupie so screwed up on drugs and messed up, they tied her to a bed. Led Zeppelin. They're such fun boys. They tied her to a bed in a Portland hotel room and raped her repeatedly with a shark, an actual fish. It's crazy. The Led Zeppelin shark story has been in just so many books. Crazy. Oh, I'll tell you, you couldn't handle partying with Zeppelin. Remember the time they raped that chick with a shark? Wait, what? Wait, they did what? That story was so socially accepted and applauded that multiple bands argue about that story. Like there's a half dozen bands out there that'll be like, yeah, you know what, that wasn't Zeppelin, that was us. Yeah, Grand Funk Railroad, Summer Tour 1974, it was actually us, not Zeppelin. Like bands were actually proud of that story. Google it if you think I'm kidding. Led Zeppelin, shark. Somebody got raped by a fish. And it's just rock and roll. I haven't seen any details in the Puff Daddy stuff that rival that. I've heard awesome tape purporting to be him having sex with Meek Mill. That's fun, but that ain't holding someone drugged down and raping them with a shark because they're groupies and this is just what happens. Mike D, he knows the story. He says Edgewater Hotel in Seattle. I've stayed there. Mike D says, yes, some of the weapons had the serial numbers removed, which is a penalty. You know what? You're right, Mike. You're right. I saw that. I saw that. That's right. Some of the guns did have serial. So we are talking about federal gun charges. So, okay. All right, let's move on. Let's see. What else do we have here? That's Diddy. Anyway, he was denied bond. He's going to have to stay in prison, hopefully, until his trial. And here's why this sucks. Because it's going to be a long time. The trial is going to be a long time. Because he's got very expensive attorneys. And very expensive attorneys like to drag it out as long as they possibly can. So they have all their ducks covered. Ducks covered? Ducks in a row? Ducks in a row. So they have all their ducks in a row and all of their... Well, what's covered? I was mixing two things there. Anyway, moving on. Who cares? The Teamsters are in the news. Hold on. Breaking news. Israel launches new strikes as Hezbollah leader calls attacks a declaration of war. Oh my God. People, they got Hezbollah Jarman systems are exploding all over Lebanon today. First day they did beepers. Second day they did walkie-talkies. And today I'm going with Jarman. I'm going with Hezbollah's Jarman satellite navigation helpers. Let's see. Teamsters aren't endorsing anybody for presidents. First time they haven't endorsed anybody since 1996. The Teamsters Union looked at this fucking shit show and went, nope, we're going to take a pass here. You kids have fun. NASA has announced that the two astronauts who are stranded up there, we got two, this is such a, talk about a shit show. We got two astronauts stuck up there at the International Space Station, and they were supposed to be only there for a couple of days, but then again, they got to their new Boeing Starliner. Boeing, boy, they ain't made many headlines lately, have they? Boeing, who, really needed a win. They sent the Starliner up to the International Space Station and they were like, look at how great it flies. And then it wouldn't start. When the astronauts were like, we need to go home, they got in and it was and they're yelling at each other. You're going to flood it. You're going to flood it. Just, oh, now you've done it. Now there's not even... Oh, but it gets worse. They're stuck there for like 5 years. Not really. They're stuck there until I think February. I think it's February, but it's like may as well be 5 years. These were people who thought they were going away for a couple of days. They like told their family. One of these people, imagine, okay, so they got a dog maybe, like their dog is being boarded, and now they're stuck at the International Space Station until February. Ugh. But it's okay because NASA's going to let them vote from space. Hey! That's the big announcement that was made today. NASA has figured out an encrypted way to allow them to vote from space. So I'll tell you, if the presidential election in November comes down to like 1 or 2 votes, you know that they're going to throw these out. You can't let them vote from space. How do we know that aliens didn't tamper with the ballots? Anyway, there you go. They're gonna vote from space. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, here's a fun one. Saturday Night Live is back. Not this week. Probably not even next week. I don't know. It's back in a couple of weeks, Saturday Night Live. Season 50. This is why we bring it up, because it's a very big deal. 50 years of Saturday Night Live. That's going to be a good special. It's going to be a great special. They will at some point during the season, probably, maybe November, I would think. It'll probably be before the Christmas season, because that's when they'll be able to charge the most for advertisers. Like, they're going to want to do the big Sunday night 3-hour 50 years of Saturday Night Live show on NBC. They're going to want to do that when they can charge premium for, like, Lexus. It's a December to remember. They're going to want that. So I imagine the big 50-year anniversary show is probably going to happen in November, just to capitalize on Christmas money. Do you remember the last one they did? What was it, 40? Or maybe at this point, I'm so old. Maybe it was 25. I don't know what it was, but they did one. It was great. It was great. It was like a 3-hour Sunday. 50's going to be big, because 50's a big one. In the show, look, I've seen every episode of Saturday Night Live ever produced. Every single one of them. It's one of my great party tricks. I've seen them all. I don't remember them all. Sometimes I go back and watch sketches, and I'm like, I don't remember this sketch. But, they're not all memorable, I guess. 50 years of Saturday Night Live. Here's what we got. We're going to give, you want to know who some of the hosts are? They've announced the hosts for season 50, or at least some of the hosts. Where is it? Yeah, here's some of them. Okay, so the season 50 opening night host, and this is so cool. I think this is great, because the opening night host for season 50 of Saturday Night Live, you want a high profile person. You want somebody that you think a lot of in there. You don't want, Buck Henry. I remember that. Buck Henry used to host Saturday Night Live all the time in the early days. You know why? Because they couldn't get anybody to host. People didn't want to do stupid Saturday Night Live. They'd never heard of it. So Buck Henry. Now it's like a big deal. Gene Smart. That's right. Soon to be American icon, the great Gene Smart. She is going to be hosting on September the 28th, the first episode of the season 50 of Saturday Night Live. Her musical guest is going to be Jelly Roll. I got takes on that dude. I don't know enough. Here's what I know. I see him in a lot of commercials. I see this. I'm like, who's that dude? And that's Jelly Roll. Who's Jelly Roll? He's a very popular singer. And then I'm like, another indication that I'm old. I don't know who this guy is. He doesn't look like he should be famous, though. I'll say that. He doesn't look like he should be famous. He looks like he should be driving the pickup truck that helps me when my car breaks down. That's what he looks like. I don't know. Is he good? Oh, he's great. Whatever. I am racist against people with face tattoos. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I need to get over it, because I think that maybe people who get face tattoos now, maybe they're a little different than the kind of people who got face tattoos when I was a kid. When I was a kid, if you got a face tattoo, you just cross the street, man. Cross the street, and it starts with the teardrop. Used to see that on the south side of Chicago. You know what that means, teardrop. Then you get see the bikers with the 1%ers, right up here. Right there, right on their jawline. Yeah, no, I don't like a face tattoo. In the 80s, when I was coming into my own, a face tattoo meant something bad. Now, apparently, it's cuddly and it's cute. Face tattoos are wonderful. So, yeah, I am. I'm racist against people with face tattoos. They used to be called job stoppers. That was it. You didn't get a face tattoo because you'd never get a job. Now, apparently, people get jobs with face tattoos. That's a me thing. I've got to adapt to what the new world is. But I'm still going to, I'm always going to think that someone who's got a face tattoo is sketchy. And you want to know what the female equivalent to the face tattoo is? Because women won't get face tattoos. I mean, the really fucked up crackhead meth chicks will. But normal chicks who are even into tattoos, they won't get something on their face because they understand ultimately that, they're pretty and they're not going to fuck with it. The face tattoo equivalent for women, I've always felt, is the boob tat. You got a boob tat? That's the equivalent of a dude with a snake on his face. If you got a boob tat, I always thought that was, I thought the boob tat was not good. I don't know why. I don't know why. I just need a chick with a boob tat. And it's always like somewhere where you can see it. All right, October the 5th, week 2. Week 2 of Saturday Night Live. October the 5th is going to have Nate Bargatze, and the musical guest is going to be Coldplay. Coldplay's fine. I don't they're fine. They got some songs I like. I don't know any Coldplay. I don't know. I've never seen them live. Whatever, they're fine. They're fine. It's a good get. It's a good band, Coldplay. Nate Bargatze is hysterical. I love him. He's a comedian. He's very funny. October 12th is going to have Ariana Grande with musical guest Stevie Nicks. What is Stevie Nicks going to do? Imagine you have Stevie Nicks on Saturday Night Live as the musical guest in 2024, and she plays something off the new album. Oh, my God. Stevie Nicks got to come out there. She's got to do just like a white-winged dove. Sings a song, sounds like she's singing. Ooh, baby, ooh, yeah. She got to do that, right? You're going to have Stevie Nicks on Saturday Night Live. She ain't going to come out and do something new. She's going to do something. She's going to do like Rihanna. She's going to do something great. That's cool. I can't wait to see Stevie Nicks on. Although, again, if she does something new, I'm be like, fuck is this? Let's see here. On this day, no, not on this day. Week 4. Is this week 4? Gene Smart with Jelly Roll is week 1 for Saturday Night Live. Nate Bargatze with Coldplay is week 2. Ariana Grande with Stevie Nicks is week 3. Michael Keaton and Billie Eilish is week 4. Billie Eilish. I don't know what that is either. I'm like, what is her deal? She's just really sad. Michael Keaton's cool. Michael Keaton will be awesome. That'll be fun. I don't know that I've ever seen. Has Michael Keaton ever hosted Saturday Night Live before? I wonder. That's pretty. I mean, he's like the kind of guy who you would think, oh, Michael Keaton has hosted 10 times because he's been around since like the 1980s. You're telling me that when it was Joe Piscopo and he was starring on Mr. Mom, he didn't host Saturday Night Live at some point with him and Tim Kazurinsky doing a bit together? I don't remember that, so I don't know. Michael Keaton will be hosting with Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish. Again, I don't. She's big. She's very famous and successful, and she has never done anything that has made me go, I fucking hate her. So, she's fine. Just not familiar in what I am familiar with. Seems very sad. And I don't know how that has become some incredibly successful brand. I don't know how just like a sad girl in a hoodie is like, well, I guess, look, I guess I look no further than Tori Amos, right? Back my generation. Tori Amos was that. Tori Amos was Billie Eilish. I guess that's it. I guess there is always going to be room for a sad girl in a hoodie. Who's, writing poetry about self-harm and stuff like that. Anyway, the next week, November the 2nd, John Mulaney and Chappell Roan. I love John Mulaney, so let's just forget about that. John Mulaney is awesome. I'm happy that he's hosting again. Chappell Roan. Can we talk about this person? This person isn't really famous, okay? I'm sorry. This is not someone that anybody knows. You know who does know? Like 10,000 people who do nothing but tweet and Instagram. Chappell Roan has gone from she's not a mainstream star, okay? She has somehow found herself to be like as big as Taylor Swift among like weird people. I don't know. She's like, I don't know what she is. And I've looked her up. I've read articles about her. There is nothing that tells me that she is famous other than some kind of fabricated momentum behind her career that seems to exist only within social media and TikTok and shit like that. I don't understand what. I gotta be honest with you. I don't even know if Chappell Roan's a man or a woman. I don't know. We live in this. Is that her appeal? That she's like a gender fluid performer? But I don't know if she's a man dressing as a woman or if I don't. And it doesn't matter if the music's good. But you see, I have so many overlapping questions that I'm distracted from even listening to the music. And I don't even know if her music is any good. What does she dance? I think it's dance clubby. I think she seems like somebody who's very popular with people who go to gay dance clubs. Would that be fair? She's a gay dance club icon. And now she's everywhere. And I'm looking at this video of her playing to 100,000 people in some park in New York. And I'm like, what? Again, another indication that I'm getting old. I do not understand the relevance of Chappell Roan, and yet she is everywhere. She's going to be the musical guest with John Mulaney on November the 2nd. All right, there you go. That's it. Those are all your Saturday Night Live things that we need to talk about. What else do we have? Oh, here's an update. Here's a fun update. How about this? We played earlier in the week. We showed the video on Monday of what happened last weekend in Boston. Jane's Addiction is on tour. And Perry Farrell had a meltdown and kind of went after Dave Navarro. And then Eric Avery got involved. And it was like an all-out brawl on stage with Jane's Addiction. The next day, Jane's, they canceled their next couple of shows. And since then, they have canceled the entire tour. They're like, yeah, the reunion tour is over. And now they're talking. So we're getting the dust has settled a little bit, and we're starting to get some information about what exactly happened on stage there in Boston that caused Perry Farrell to lose his shit. All three members of Jane's Addiction, Dave Navarro, Eric Avery, and Stephen Perkins. Stephen Perkins, the drummer, Eric Avery, bass player, Dave Navarro, guitar player. So those three members of Jane's Addiction are speaking in one voice. That's how to tell you who the problem is. Perry Farrell is over here speaking in the other voice. Perry Farrell is, of course, the instigator. We saw him initiate contact. We saw it was Perry Farrell who attacked Dave Navarro. Dave Navarro was also a dickhead, but in this situation, he does not seem to be the biggest dickhead. It's Perry Farrell. So we're wondering, like, what was going on? People were like, well, Dave was playing bad. You know, they were making excuses and all this kind of shit. Perry's voice has been out of whack since Madison Square Garden, and he can't sing, and he's frustrated, and he's taking it out on the bit. All right, so these are all things that might be happening. But whatever, it was crazy. It was crazy to see Perry. I had just seen Jane's Addiction like a year ago. And to see him lose his shit like that, it was like, huh. Because I remember after my son and I went and saw Jane's Addiction, after it, we were like, man. Well, not him, because he doesn't remember what they were. But I was like, man, they're like as good as they ever. I can't believe, how old are these guys? These guys are rocking. They were really good. We saw them with the Pumpkins. And Jane's Addiction, quite frankly, blew the Pumpkins off the stage. Jane's Addiction was rocking. So now to see this like a year later, I'm like, well... Apparently that celebratory night in Dallas didn't last long because these guys are at each other's throats. So here we go. Let's call it Jane Says. This is what the members of Jane's Addiction are saying about the incident that took place last Friday in Boston. Jane says, following the shocking instrument, Dave Navarro, drummer Stephen Perkins, and bassist Eric Avery. Can I just say, those three names, though, like in the history of like rock, alt rock, 90s, like musicianship and all that, those three guys are like as big as it gets. They may not be household names, but man, you put respect on every one of these guys as a player who came out of that scene. Eric Avery, he's like one of the great bass players of all. Stephen Perkins. And we know about Dave Navarro. Navarro, Perkins, and Avery issued a joint statement on, I guess you gotta be that good when your lead singer is Perry Farrell. Because that dude can't sing. That's not a singing voice that he's using. It's a punk weird alt rock voice that works because the rest of the band is so awesome. Let's see. Navarro, Perkins, and Avery issued a joint statement on Instagram apologizing to fans for the disturbing scene and the cancellation of the rest of the band's U.S. tour. It says here, here's what they say. Due to a continuing pattern of behavior and the mental health difficulties of our singer, Perry Farrell, they name check him. Just so we're all clear, we're talking about Perry. Due to a continuing pattern of behavior and the mental health difficulties of our singer Perry Farrell, we have come to the conclusion that we have no choice but to discontinue the current tour. The trio wrote. Here's what they go on to say. Our concern for Perry's personal health and safety, as well as our own. They're like, we're worried about him, man. He's fucking nuts, and he might kill us. That's what they're saying here. Our concern for his personal health and safety, as well as our own, has left us no alternative. We, the members of Jane's Addiction, hope that he will find the help that he needs. We deeply regret that we are not able to come through for all our fans who have already bought tickets. We can see no solution that would either ensure a safe environment on stage or reliably allow us to deliver a great performance on a nightly basis. So he's nuts. So the whole band is just putting it on Perry Farrell. We'd make great pets. We'd make great pets. That's an all-timer. That's a good song. You know who's never heard that song? That would be a good, my 15-year-old son has never heard that song, Porno for Pyros, Pets. It's a video. I'm going to make him listen to it. I want you to listen to the song. Tell me what you think. We did one other video, but he wouldn't let me release it. We did a video for the song. You know that song? Remember that song? Once there was a boy who got into an accident and couldn't go to school. Remember that song? I made him listen to it. Now we were doing a reaction video. I'm like, I want to do a reaction video with you. I want you to listen to this song. I don't think you've ever heard it before. I want you to read the lyrics as you're listening. And my kid, he was only like 12 at the time, and he started to cry. He started to cry reading the lyrics of the song, and he took the headphones off, and he's like, I don't want to do this, Dad. This isn't fun. And I go, wow, yeah, that's a bummer song. So we never went back and did it again because that's a sad song. It's a sad song about disfigured kids and how they get picked on and stuff. And he was very moved by it, which was nice. So we never did that. But I think we'll do it this weekend. We'll do one this weekend with pets. We'll make great pets. Where are we? Okay, so let's see what Perry says. So we heard what the band Jane's Addiction has to say. Let's hear what Perry Farrell has to say. Now, this is important because is Perry Farrell going to be like, God, these guys are fucking dicks, and I'm the star in Lollapalooza. I invented it. Is he going to be like that? Or is he going to be like, it's been a couple of days. I know I'm a fucking handful. I don't know, man. I got shit going on. I can't believe that I did that. Is that what he's going to be like? I don't know. Let's see. Perry says, here's Perry Farrell's statement on what we all saw occur. This weekend has been incredibly difficult, and after having the time and space to reflect, it is only right that I apologize to my bandmates, especially Dave Navarro, fans, family, and friends. They all deserve an apology for my actions during Friday's show. Unfortunately, my breaking point resulted in inexcusable behavior on my part, and I take full accountability for how I chose to handle this situation. All right. Perfect. That is perfect. When you know you've done wrong and everybody knows you've done wrong, instead of doubling down and being a total asshole, that is good. He is taking responsibility. He's like, look, unfortunately, I kind of had a breaking point and my behavior was inexcusable. Take full accountability for it. I want to apologize for how I treated my bandmates, especially Dave. I mean, he seems to be in a more lucid and calm state. So, all right, there you go. That's the Jane's Addiction story. What else do we have here? I wanted to show this to you. Guys, you want to see something cool? This is fun. Okay, so let's watch a couple of trailers. We'll watch some videos and stuff like that, and then I got another thing that we'll get into a little bit meatier. What I mean is we'll watch a couple of videos, and then we'll get into a bit of more meatier conversation thing. This first video I want to show you is... So I'm a big fan of The Office. I'm a big fan of the British Office, and I'm a big fan of the American Office. I'm not one of these people who... I didn't know about the British Office. There's a lot of... Oh, yeah. I've been watching the British Office since 1999. whatever. I hate those people. I'm like, how? Did you live in England? I don't live in England. I wasn't getting access to the British office. Comedy Central would air it at 3:30 in the morning once a month, and I was always there, ready to watch. Okay, all right, you're a weirdo. But anyway, after I became a big fan of the American office, then I retroactively went back and I watched the British office. And guess what? The British office sucks compared to the American office. Sorry. The British office isn't a terrible. The British office is fun. British office is great. It's real enjoyable. But here's the problem. I'm not British. So, that's all a bit foreign to me. I don't get all the lines. I don't get all of where I do get all of these subtle jokes and innuendo and Easter eggs about the culture? With the American office, because I'm an American, because I get that stuff. That being said, Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant are like two of my favorite comedy creators of the past 20, 30 years. So no shits to be thrown at the British office. I'm just telling you, pound for pound, the American office is better. If you're asking me which is better, which one should I watch? Which is funnier? Well, you were raised in Indiana, so I would say the American office would probably be something you'd enjoy more. But if you want to be pretentious and try and pretend like you understand the sophistication and subtlety of British culture, go ahead. You can go watch that one. Anyway, The Office has been made in a million different ways, but apparently it has never been rebooted or booted at all in Australia. And one thing that I know about Australia and New Zealand, you guys, I think they're the funniest countries in the world. My 15-year-old son and I have this obsession with New Zealand sketch comedy. Like, YouTube is filled with Auntie Donna is like one of our favorite. I mean, Taika Waititi, come on, New Zealand, Jermaine Clement, New Zealand. I mean, New Zealand comedy is really funny. In Australia, we're going to call it the same thing, right? Anyway, the trailer is being remade for an Australian audience. Australia is going to get their first look at The Office. And here, let's watch it. We've got a trailer for it. It's a little bit different. And of course it would be because it's 20 years after the original Office, and it's more modern and stuff like that. But here, it's interesting. So let's watch this. This is the trailer for the Australian version of The Office, which is debuting next month. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it. Like it says at the end of it, I think it says Netflix, but I don't think American Netflix is going to have access to it. Or maybe we will. I don't know. Who knows? All right, let's watch this. Here we go. This is a trailer for the Dead people. I've had dead people up here this whole time. God, I suck. I'm such an embarrassment to this. All right, here we go. All right, this is the trailer for the new version of The Office, the Australian version of The Office.
Big announcement. Can I have a drum roll, please? The drum roll, Lloyd.
That's how I drum roll.
People ask me, how can I become a great boss? And the answer is having a happy staff that love you. Oof.
This is a proper HR nightmare.
As of today, we are all back in the office full time. What?
That's not good news.
I'm promoting you to productivity manager.
Yes, sir. Do I want to support the vision of my branch manager? At all costs.
Is this the dark web?
No, it's not the dark web. Is that Lizzie?
Okay.
The perks of coming to work. Riling up Lizzie, flirting, watching Nick rile up Lizzie.
What's his name?
My crow's name is Russell.
Hello, Rusty. How are you, mate?
Nick, no.
We lost one of our own last week.
Brian died.
We were so close. He's always in my heart.
Oh, is he the tall, sad one?
Yeah.
No, he was the short and smiley one.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
What nationality is he?
What sexual identity is he? Doesn't feel relevant, does it?
Hannah is a riddle swallowed by an idiot and shut out by a moron.
Those people are like family to me, and I won't let you throw them out on the street.
The daily commute is killing me.
Is someone sleeping in here?
Don't want everyone knowing about it. It's not a big deal. It's been 4 nights this week. It's nothing.
It's the race that stops the nation.
Giddy up.
It's awake, but I want people to feel awake.
I don't want to be on the committee.
I understand that, but you're also the oldest and closest to the end, so I would really love your buy-in on this event, okay?
If I die while I'm still working here, please don't let this happen.
Promoting women into positions of power. That's my mantra, really.
I've never heard you say that.
Oh, my back hurts from carrying all my sisters all the time. Ow!
Okay, well, I'll see you around.
Yeah, you definitely will, because I'll be at my desk all day.
Okay, well, I'll see you there.
You will for the next 9 hours.
All right, Prime, I guess it says. Prime is where we're going to be able to look at that. Ross checks in with, that looks like shit. Here's what it looks like. It looks like The Office. It looks like The Office, and I'm wondering if in 2024 that sort of vibe and look that The Office was, like The Office was interesting because when it debuted in 2004? I don't know when The Office debuted, but let's say it debuted back then. When The Office debuted, it was utilizing the mock reality show where people were talking to a camera. The premise going into watching an episode of The Office is that you are watching a documentary about life at a mundane paper company. This is what American work life is like. This is a documentary about life working in an office. And we understood that. Everything in television for the 20 years after that also did that. Modern Family does that. So when you see them doing it again in a reboot of it's like, okay, it's like, that's not interesting anymore. That actually seems kind of tired. It also feels like this Australian office may be heading to Ghostbuster Town. It looks like they just basically took the basic premise of the original Office and they just recast the roles as females. It looks like they just took the Ricky Gervais and Steve Carell characters and replaced them with a female, and then they took the character of Dwight, and they replaced it with a female. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. So that could be interesting. The woman playing the Ricky Gervais, Steve Carell character, I don't know her. She seems, I'll give her a chance because I see what she's doing as an actress. She's trying to play the cringe. She's trying to be as cringy and weird and just slightly off step. She's trying to do that in the vein of Ricky Gervais in the original and then Steve Carell in the American. So I don't know. I'll give it a chance. I will say this. Here's the one thing that I take away from that trailer that we just watched about the Australian version of The Office. The person who plays I didn't catch the name, Liam, maybe? I don't know. The person who plays the guy that's living in the office. Maybe that's a Creed type character. Is that the Creed character that they got here? Anyway, it was that guy who we saw unshaven, kind of dirty, and he's obviously showering in the bathroom and he gets caught living there. That guy, that actor, I'll watch anything that guy does. That guy is hysterical. That dude, if you ever seen the original What We Do in the Shadows, which was a New Zealand comedy film from about 10 years ago, he's in that. He's the new guy. He's the new guy that gets turned and becomes instantly a cooler vampire than all the other vampires, and it causes problems because he's so cool. Anyway, that guy's hysterical. That guy's really funny. So when I saw him in it, I'm like, okay, all right, I know they kind of know what they're doing, at least in one area. They've got this guy. I'll watch it. If it's available to me, I'll absolutely watch it. I don't know if I'll watch the whole thing, but, I'll give it 1 or 2 episodes and I'll be like, okay, is this interesting or is this just, Australian people doing an imitation of the great American version of The Office? I don't know. Ross says it looks like a try-hard Temu version. But to be fair, the British one does too, even though it was yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. There are certain aspects of the BBC's version of The Office that I find just distracting. The overall vibe of it, like when you watch an episode of the BBC Office with Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant, and anyway, when you watch that, doesn't it seem all dirty and gray and like it's always a rainy day and it's always and it looks very low rent. It looks like there was no budget, and it's just, which also, I guess, sort of adds to the authenticity of what they're going for, which is this is a documentary. The American version is way more cleaned up. The American version looks way more like a television show set and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm fine with it, man. I am good with the Office universe. You know, if you guys want to expand the Office universe, by the way, isn't that interesting? Let's do some TV talk. I like doing TV talk. Okay, so isn't that interesting? The Office, inarguably one of the most successful and culturally impactful comedy series of the past 20, 30 years. That's undeniable. The Office is just, I mean, look at the stars. Everybody who was like on that show is now a movie star, or, you know, killing it in Hollywood. It's an important show. No spinoffs. Not a single spinoff, right? I mean, the Office universe is limited to Scranton, Pennsylvania, and its different incarnations. But those are, you know, separate timelines, I guess, maybe. Parks and Recreation is not a spinoff. Parks and Recreation is not a spinoff of The Office. It's not. It's the same people, it's the same writers and the same producers, and very much similar, and every bit as good as The Office. Yeah, I said it. I think Parks and Recreation is every bit as good as The Office. It doesn't get the shine that The Office gets, but it's every bit as good, pound for pound. I don't know. I'm fine with the Office universe. Like, wouldn't it have been like, okay, so what would have been a good spinoff? What would have been a good spinoff for The Office? Would Dwight? No, Dwight would not be a good spinoff for The Office. You want to know why? Because we've seen this before in Hollywood. Dwight cannot be a lead character. A lead character at some point has to be likable and has to elicit compassion from the viewers. That's the whole point of a lead character. Dwight could not be that. Dwight is only fun when he's being Dwight in The Office. I'll give you an example. Here's a great example of how TV fucked this up. Fish on the Barney Miller Show was hysterical. Why? Because he said nothing. He was a mean old man who had problems pooping, and he didn't one-word answers, and he was grump, and he was funny. It was funny. And then they went, we ought to milk this fish cow. Let's give Fish his own show. And they had to give Fish a fucking personality. And then it was just like, no, that ain't Fish. Imagine you try to make Kramer. You know, Kramer, they're going to do a spinoff of Seinfeld. It's going to be about Kramer. Except now Kramer's married and he's raising 2 kids. That's not going to work. Can't be Kramer. I don't know. All right, let's keep going. Here we go. Let's watch another trailer. I got something else that I wanted to show you too, because I've been waiting for this. Fuck you. Google just signed me out. They're like, you're signed out. You got to sign in again. I've been working on this document nonstop since 8 o'clock this morning, and somehow you think... hold on. Sorry, guys. Ooh. I tell you how nervous I am about my kid's game tonight. I'm nervous. I am more nervous about my kid's game tonight against district rival Plano West. I'm more nervous about this game than I am about the Bears game coming up, or whether or not the Cowboys can rebound. Cowboys going to lose 2 in a row. Ooh, it's Baltimore, right? Do I have that right? I don't know. I got to look at that. Woo! Baltimore needs a win, man, and they are a good team. They're a good team who, for some reason, I don't know. I think this is good. They're going to be recompensed this Sunday. Is it Cowboys Ravens? I should probably just look at the chat room. Who do the Cowboys play?
Last Sunday, the Cowboys played the Saints.
No, it's the Ravens. All right, there you go. It's the Ravens. All right, that's going to be a good game. All right, let's see here. We got I've been waiting a very long time for this trailer. I guess it came out a couple of days ago, maybe even last week, but I just getting around to looking at it now, and I looked at it this morning, and I was like, okay, here we go. Very excited about this movie. This movie is it's gonna be look, as a historical observer, as just somebody who likes to observe history that I am living in, a chronicler, if you will. I am a chronicler. I am a chronicler of our history. I've been doing this every day for 3 years. When the aliens come in 500 years, if they want to really know about all that, they can find this on YouTube. And they'll be like, he was a chronicler. And in 2,000 years, I'll be like Plato. They'll be like Pugs, the great chronicler of the doomed human civilization. Wow. Just because I do this. See? No, I'm not delusional. I've been talking about this movie, and we've been chronicling the ups and downs. And of course, we're talking about The Apprentice. The Apprentice. The movie about Donald Trump and his young days in New York, in Manhattan, and on the rise, the building of Trump Tower and all that. But it more directly deals with his relationship with noted piece of shit Roy Cohn, who, all involved in the McCarthy hearings. He accused everybody of being a communist. Everybody was a racist. Everybody was an anti-Semite. He was a liar. He was a cheat. He's a very bad, very, very powerful, though, man in America for a lot of years, Roy Cohn. And he sort of took Donald Trump under his wing. He would also later take another guy under his wing by the name of Roger Stone. Donald Trump and Roger Stone were both sort of tuteled by the very notorious Roy Cohn. That's what this movie's about. It purports to show Donald Trump's relationship with Roy Cohn when Roy Cohn was sort of teaching Donald Trump how to be what we are led to believe the Donald Trump that we see today. Obviously, this is a very touchy subject for a lot of people, but I love this shit, and I can't wait to see this movie. Stars Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier. Also played Tommy Lee in that Hulu series, Pam and Tommy. Stars Sebastian Stan, who's a really good actor as Donald Trump, young Donald Trump. It also stars Jeremy Strong, Kendall from Succession. If you remember Succession, Jeremy Strong plays Roy Cohn, who is the mentor to Donald Trump's apprentice. And who else is in this? There are a bunch of other people in this too. The chick from Borat. Remember Borat's most recent movie? Remember the chick who lured Rudy Giuliani into a hotel room, and then that chick? She plays Ivana. And I am telling you, that chick is probably the new Meryl Streep. I have seen her in interviews. She is like a totally normal person. I thought she was so effective in that Borat movie. I thought there's like a part of me thinking, oh no, that's really a chick who grew up on a hillside there in the Eastern. That's what they're like, man. I totally bought into that character as being, at the very least, I thought she couldn't be American. She's probably some Eastern European actor. No, she's like, she is Russian or something, but whatever. She's normal is what I'm saying. She plays Ivanka. So this movie was backed by Daniel Snyder to a large degree. Daniel Snyder was he's the what do they call that? The exiled former owner of the Washington Redskins / Commander. Snyder put money behind this film and then found out that, it was going to be released in just before the election, and Daniel Snyder's friends with Donald Trump. So Daniel Snyder tried to end the film's release, and he tried to buy it back. And he's like, I will not allow this to be released. My good friend Donald Trump deserves better treatment. That's literally what not literally, but close to what he actually said. Deserves better than this. It's all right. So then the movie company who owns the worldwide distribution, they went to Dan Snyder and they said, wow, you seem really passionate about keeping this movie off, and you really seem dedicated and loyal to your friend. What if we just gave you your money back? And Snyder went, okay. Snyder took the money. He just went, okay. So his loyalty is maybe a bit overstated there in his public relations release on the subject. So the movie's going to be released now. I don't know when it's coming out, but the trailer is out. So let's watch this. This is a look at the first trailer. This is the official trailer for The Apprentice, the new movie purporting to tell us the story of Donald Trump's rise to infamy at the knee of Roy Cohn. Here we go.
Yeah. Yes.
Hello, this is Donald Trump from Mr. Cohn. Thank you so much.
Donald who?
1, 2, 3, 4!
Roy Cohn, nice to meet you.
The Roy Cohn, you're brutal.
Guilty as charged.
How do you always win?
There's rules. The first rule is attack, attack, attack.
It's going to be the finest building in the city, maybe the country, in the world.
Rule 2, admit nothing, deny everything.
There's never been anything like this, of this magnitude, this quality. Ooh, cheese balls over here.
What are you doing?
You want one?
No, it looks totally disgusting.
Cheese balls.
Rule 3, no matter what happens, you claim victory and never admit defeat. You have to be willing to do anything to anyone to win. You have a big ass. You got to work on that.
Your face looked like an orange.
Attack, attack, attack.
Deny everything.
Admit nothing.
Never admit defeat.
What if you lost your fortune today?
Well, then maybe I'll run for president. I don't know.
I say, if you're indicted, you're invited.
All right. Now, that's the first trailer for the Trump movie, The Apprentice. I got, I am more interested in watching this for Jeremy Strong's portrayal of Roy Cohn, who I've always been fascinated by. I read a book probably in the early 90s. It was called Citizen Cohn. Let me look it up. Citizen Cohn. Holy shit. It was the biography of Roy Cohn just from everything that he ever did. And so a lot of those things that, we're going to see in this movie are going to be things that he was well known for. Things, like the never admit defeat, and it's everything is always bigger and the best and the greatest, and all of these things that Roy Cohn was famous for from 1950s through the 60s and all. These are all things that we see now. We see manifested in the president of the United States, and they are going to give us the origin story, or at least, their version of the origin story. So I'm definitely very interested in that. That is The Apprentice, the new movie. Let's see here. What else do we have? Oh, yeah, I wanted to get into this. We're going to do this. This is something that's come back around. I posted about this on Twitter like 3 weeks ago. And some of you people were like, bang, bang, but apparently it's going around again. It went viral last night. And I looked at it and I'm like, wait, I already opined on this. Actually, I don't think I talked about it here on the show. I think I just posted about it on Twitter or something. But it's interesting. So why not? So let's talk about this today. I think this is an interesting conversation to be had. Let me pull this up. Hold on. Has to do with yard signs. Political yard signs. I love this guy, and I want everybody driving by to know how this family votes. It's like that weird thing. I'm on this team. These are my parents. I hate it. I would never put a political yard sign. Are you fucking nuts? Get out of here, you loser. So let's watch this. This woman, and then let's talk about it. This woman has an issue with a political yard sign, and I think it might just be her own. It's her own political yard sign. Let's talk about this. Because I mentioned it on Twitter like 3 weeks ago when this first started going around. And I took so much heat from people. So I want to see if that is replicated. I want to see if that's replicated in the chat room. Let's do that.
Absolutely not.
All right, hold on. Here we go. All right. So here's the premise. This woman has a Harris and Walls sign in her front yard. She was asked to take it down. Her neighbor came to her and said, look, I'm trying to sell my house and I got people coming by here and all that. Do you think maybe you could put down the sign just, while I have people? I'm trying to sell my house. So that's what the neighbor said. So this is what this video is about. A neighbor asked a woman to remove her Harris Waltz for President sign. Here's how it went down.
So it should come as no surprise to you that I am a Harris Waltz
supporter, and I was so excited to get my yard sign in the mail. I had purchased it before she had been officially recognized as the nominee at the DNC, and then it finally came, and I was so excited, and I put it in the yard. Well, my husband came up to me yesterday and said that our neighbor has asked if we could remove the sign for the weekend. Our neighbors are moving and they're selling their house, and essentially he insinuated that by having the Harris Falls yard sign that he was concerned his house would not sell or sell for as much as it could. My initial reaction to this was like, absolutely not. Like, my political beliefs, the signage that I have on my property have nothing to do with whether or not your house is going to sell or for how much it's going to sell. It's about the quality of your home, the price you have it listed at, the location that it is. And like, you need to sell it quickly. I understand because they've already purchased another house, but that's like not my problem. And also, like, it could actually benefit you. Who knows? Either way, I said no. My husband has now looked into
All right, there you have it. So did we all follow that, or do we need to watch this again? I think we all followed it, right? So this woman's got a Harris Waltz sign in her yard. The neighbor approaches the husband. Remember, she wasn't approached directly; he approached the husband. Neighbor approaches the husband. It's like, "Hey, Bob, what's going on? Hey, how's the home sale going? Well, we got people coming by this weekend." Hey, Jerry, let me ask you something. Do you think you can do me a favor? This week, I don't know who's coming by. Could we get the political sign maybe just for the weekend? Can you take it down? Gee, I don't know, Bob. That's Karen's department. I'm going to have to go inside and ask Karen. But, we'll see what we can do for you there. Thank you, Jerry. I sure do appreciate it. Sure, sure hope my new neighbors in the new house I'm moving to are as cool as you and Karen. So the husband then walks into the house, and I don't know, she's probably TikToking or some shit. Honey, I need to talk to you. And she's like, oh, this would make a great viral video. Okay, so here's my take on it. Take the fucking sign down. Are you a good neighbor or are you an asshole? Because, you seem to me kind of like an asshole. Only for the weekend. He said for the weekend for a very specific reason. And you know damn well we live in divisive political times, and we can't say what might or might not affect his sale. Some dude might get out of the car and instantly he's in a bad mood, and all of a sudden he's shit. I ain't living in this neighborhood. Whatever, man. Doesn't matter about your political beliefs. She says in this stupid thing, she's like, well, I just did my political sign and I just did. Your political beliefs, your individual political beliefs need to, one, remain silent, and two, I don't know what two is. Two would be they're insignificant. You narcissist. You ego-driven bitch. Stop it. For one moment, just go, what's the play here? To just be an in-the-moment, actual cool human being who understands that my neighbor has asked me to do something, and that ask isn't necessarily a personal assault on my ego that I must rise up to, because now I represent democracy. I will not shut the fuck up and do your neighbor a solid. It's 2 days. Put it right back up on Monday. They're doing an open house. This idea that it's somehow, no, this is a principle. Be a cool neighbor. Be a nice neighbor. Just be a neighbor that people want to live next door to and go, oh, you know what? Okay, I can see that. Yeah, we can. We'll take it. We'll put it in the garage, put it back up on Monday. But yeah, man, good luck with the house, okay? And if you need anything else, you just let us know. We're here. We're the cool neighbors next door. Not the fucking militant Karens who are like, this is about my political beliefs and my rights as an American. Fucking shut the hell up. This is about you being the asshole neighbor right now. So that's always kind of been my take on this. Ooh, when I posted that a couple of weeks ago on Twitter, all of you, Jeff Ballard's like, nah, she shouldn't have to take. I mean, it's like, God damn. And I'm trying to explain to people, I'm like, this isn't about a principle or anything. This is about suburban town USA. This is about not what we think while we're getting riled up in traffic listening to Sean Hannity on the radio or Jesse Waters on TV. This is about the real life one-on-one with the dude who lives within stabbing distance of you and how we must fucking change the way we behave towards one another. It's a much larger thing than this is my political right. It's a much larger thing and a much more delicate thing. We just need more cool people in this world. That is seriously what we need. We just need more cool people to go, all right. Good luck selling the house. We'll do it for the weekend. The thing is, he didn't. This I can understand if this was one of those deals where my neighbor came over and said that I shouldn't have that because his house isn't going to sell and he wants me to get rid of it. And that's not what it was. It was, can you take it away for the weekend? For the weekend. And TikTok Karen, man, she saw that as, I am going to stand up the rights of all women. I'm going to stand up for the rights of political signage women. Okay, that's a big issue. And women's reproductive rights. That's what this is about. This is about me as a woman who believes in reproductive rights being heard as the school bus comes by. Why? Who being heard? It's fucking sign. All those signs do is unnecessarily make your neighbors either like you or hate you. And why? Why not let your neighbors like you or hate you because of the way you park or keep your yard or whatever it is? I am one of these people. Everybody needs to shut the fuck up about their political beliefs. Shut up. We vote in private. There's a reason for it. Okay. All right, let me go into the chat room now. Let me see what you folks in the chat room, if you got any thoughts on this whole thing. I'm sure you do. Oh, yeah, Jeff, see, Jeff's absurd. The personal liberty, Pugs. See, it's about personal liberty. And that what I know about the Constitution, because I'm a grown-up, I know it's about personal liberty. No, it's not. It's about not being an asshole to a person who lives within stabbing distance of you. That is more fucking important than my constitutional right to personal liberty. Shut the fuck up. Fucking, I'm tired of this sort of faux patriotism somehow emboldening asshole behavior. Stop being an asshole. Your neighbor asked nicely and he was cool about it. He said a couple of days. He said the weekend. She even admits that. If you don't see her as being the asshole in this situation, then there's something wrong with you. See, that's how we interact. That's how we interact with people in the chat room. I just completely destroyed Jeff, someone who I like and care about, but fuck him. Personal liberty. I'm a grown-up. I talk about things like personal liberty and how that pertains to the Constitution and my rights as a native-born American. Christina Nina says maybe she doesn't want to risk some asshole MAGA buying the house. Fuck her. It's not her concern. And then she's got some. See, now you're bringing so it's got to be an asshole MAGA person. And what if it is? And if you go into that relationship with your new next door neighbor, who once again lives within stabbing distance, if you go into that relationship with this new person going, just an asshole MAGA, fucking maybe they're nice. Maybe not talk about politics, huh? I tell you, I think yard signs should be illegal. I think neighborhood HOAs, they should be like, yeah, fuck, keep your politics out. But it's my right. Of course, there are a lot of things that you have a right to do that you don't do because you don't want to be a jerk off. And these are those kinds of things. Let's see here. Nina also says having to live next door to a MAGA asshole would be unbearable. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I've spent the last 3 years in the Park Cities. I feel like basically all of my neighbors have been what Nina would describe as MAGA assholes. I get along with them fine. They're fine. Now I'm like, nah, some of them are assholes, but not because of any political leanings or my understanding of their political leanings. They're just assholes because they're assholes. One guy fucking, never mind. I don't want to get into it. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. What else do we have here? Al says, I agree with Pugs. Be a cool neighbor. Of course you agree with me because you're a cool chatter. Look, you want to hear a pro tip? When existing in your personal universe, be that with your neighbors, with your mailman, with people who live across the street, with the dude you see every night walking his dog across your personal universe, I always feel it is best for me to exist within that universe as if I'm somebody wanted by the FBI. It's like the Whitey Bulger thing, okay? Fit in, don't stand out, be a positive. If you ever need these people to step up for you, be a positive member of their community. That's just how I think you ought to live. That's just how I think you should live and conduct yourself among neighbors. Like you're on the FBI's most wanted list. Like you don't want your neighbors to ever look into you. Just be cool. Just be somebody they want to think the best of. And that means you don't put up political signs. That means you don't get drunk and flirt with dudes' wives at block parties. I don't know. All right, let's see here. Again, we're talking about a woman who was asked apparently very politely. Like she was asked politely, right? Don't you get that from it? Because if there had like she tried to make it sound as bad as possible, and it just didn't sound bad. It just didn't. And then he asked my husband, very politely, I might add, if we could just take it down temporarily, not forever. He doesn't want to suppress my political beliefs. I mean, she told us what it was, and it didn't sound that bad. Let's listen just one more time to catch you up, because I'm having fun talking about this. All right, here we go.
So it should come as no surprise to you that I am a Harris Wells supporter, and I was so excited to get my yard sign in the mail. I had purchased it before she had been officially recognized as the nominee at the DNC, and then it finally came, and I was so excited, and I put it in the yard. Well, my husband came up to me yesterday and said that our neighbor has asked if we could remove the sign for the weekend.
Remove the sign for the weekend. Look, she started further. Like, that's it. That's the worst. That's the most damning thing. Not take it down because I hate your politics and nothing like that. Just, hey, I'm trying to sell my house. And I don't know, just want to keep it as non-divisive as possible around here for possible opportunities. Could you just take maybe no political stuff on the yard maybe for a couple of days? Just then put it back out. That's what it sounds like.
Our neighbors are moving and they're selling their house, and essentially he insinuated that by having the Harris Falls yard sign that he was concerned his house would not sell or sell for as much as it could.
All right, never mind. This woman's an idiot. She doesn't even know what words mean. He can't be insinuating. He was insinuating that he feels the house wouldn't. You can't insinuate your own feeling, okay? You dumb bitch. Trying to use big words, but not knowing how to use them properly. She is just a woman looking for attention on social medias, on Twitter or whatever, and she's drawing up I'm so tired of these people. I am so tired of these people. I feel bad for her husband. Let me tell you something. I have a friend who's very active on Twitter. Not Twitter, TikTok. She's all over TikTok and big. Like my God. Like, here's the thing. She was on my timeline. I don't know why, on TikTok. She's on my timeline and she's doing really interesting stuff. And I didn't immediately know who she was. Like, I didn't immediately go like, oh, that's so-and-so's wife. I didn't put it together until later when I'm like, wait a second. So this is a friend of mine's wife from back on the south side of Chicago, and she's on TikTok, and she's very popular. She's beautiful. And she's funny, and she's talented at things that I had no idea. Like, this is a girl who's very I mean, I've known her for 30 years. Very quiet, like very, I guess I never got to know her. Anyway, she's very interesting and a completely different person on TikTok. And I just know it drove her husband nuts because her husband is just different. So he's not that way. And that's why I think so I'm thinking about them when I'm thinking about this woman and her husband. Her husband, at dinner that night, they were at dinner or whenever it was that they were around, the husband's like, look, Bob's all pissed at me because apparently you made a video that went viral where you talked about how he asked me to ask you if you could do it. You turned it into this big thing. What the fuck, Karen? What is going like that happened. Poor husband of these TikTok ladies. Oh my God. Crazy TikTok ladies. They're all over. Speaking of, here's the last thing that we'll do today. I wanted to show you this. So a couple of months back, I was telling you about, this was the summer of for some reason, speaking of TikTok, hold on. Okay, here we go. So for some reason this summer, I started to I follow a lot of baseball accounts on TikTok because there's a lot of really cool baseball accounts. I follow a lot of baseball accounts on Twitter too. Anyway, my baseball accounts started to be filled with these cheerleaders, these South Korean baseball cheerleaders that were, blowing up. It's like, what do you mean 10.5 million views? Just going crazy. And apparently, I talked about this. They have cheerleaders in baseball in Korea, and they're really popular. And the teams have cheerleaders that compete against each other. It's just different than it is here. And we were shown an example of it. And one particular cheerleader went totally viral. And she was a cheerleader who was putting on makeup. And when the song starts playing, we played the song. We listened to it a couple of weeks ago. I forgot what it is. It's awesome, though. It's an awesome song. So whenever the stadium plays this song, the cheerleaders have to immediately stand up and start doing what I think is called the icky icky dance or something. And it's these girls doing this dance with their thumbs. And it's the cheerleaders. So this one cheerleader in particular was putting on makeup, and the song came on and she put it down, and that went viral. And so then there became this huge craze on TikTok where girls were imitating doing something, and then the song comes on and they stop it. I've seen everything from, girls, there was one where a woman was doing surgery, and all of a sudden the song comes on and she drops everything and starts. Of course, it was a joke. She wasn't really doing surgery, but it became a thing. And I asked you guys a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Can somebody explain what is going on here? I feel like this is a parallel universe. I feel like this girl, this one particular cheerleader who became the face of this movement, this one girl is like just hypnotic. I can't stop looking at her. The thumb thing gets me every time. So I found this the other day. It's an explanation of what this whole thing is. So here it is. This is called, let's watch this, and then we'll all understand together. It is hypnotic, dude. I can't stop looking at these videos of I want baseball in America to have cheerleaders like this, and I bet you some team will. Absolutely some team will. All right, here you go. This is the explanation that I've been seeking for quite some time.
South Korea's cheerleaders. It all started with a South Korean cheerleader's quirky dance move that quickly became a global sensation. Soo Chin, a cheerleader for the Kia Tigers baseball team, was caught on camera while casually putting on makeup. But when the catchy beat of My Lekin by Prankygante started playing, she dropped everything and grooved to the rhythm, giving a playful thumbs up in sync with the music. The move was simple, charming, and completely natural, which caused Soo Chin's video to skyrocketed to over 37.1 million views. What followed was an internet dance challenge called the Picky Picky Dance, where creators all over TikTok started mimicking her iconic move. This viral moment not only made Soo Chin a household name, but also put the spotlight on South Korean cheerleaders in general, with more people becoming curious about their lives, style, and even their income. As the internet buzzed, questions arose. How much do these talented cheerleaders actually make?
Nothing.
Can such simple, yet mesmerizing dance moves lead to substantial earnings?
No.
According to INF.news, the income of South Korean cheerleaders is broken.
Let's be honest, dude. It's this one particular girl. She's just really angelic. She's just really cute. That's I think what the draw of this is. It's this one right here. She's the one that seems to be the only one that we ever see. She is for some reason taking TikTok by storm. And I truly do. I think it's just because she's so angelic. She seems so innocent and so like just a perfect human being. Like, I don't know, I'm just like totally vulnerable and innocent. I don't know what it is, but look at her. They got her in a rain slicker. They got her out there dancing the picky.
Broken down earnings? According to INF.news, the income of South Korean cheerleaders is broken down into 3 parts. Base salary. Cheerleaders like Soo Chin, who signed with the Kia Tigers, earn around $3 million, approximately $2,300, but this varies depending on experience and popularity. Bonuses. These come from each match and fluctuate based on the importance of the game.
We don't about the economics. It was just interesting. I was just interested as to why they have cheerleaders and we don't. Now I want to have American cheerleaders at baseball games. Wicka chicka wink wink, wicka chicka wink wink. I wonder if that girl at least is. They went through the money. They make nothing. What do you think? What do you think? Like a 22-year-old girl who's a Texas Ranger dancer, because they do have those. What do you think she makes? She makes like $50 a game. Stop acting like, no, she's rich from that. No, she's not. This girl who went viral on TikTok for the Kia Tigers. I don't know her name. They said her name a bunch of times, but it's a Korean name. And again, I was educated in the West. Those names don't stick in my brain. It's Soon Yoon something. Okay? There you go. Sorry if that's disrespectful. It's not familiar ground for me. I hope that at least she made some money. I hope because she became the face of this whole thing, and as I said, 37 million views on TikTok, she better be getting something. Somebody better be taking care of her. I want her to date and marry Shohei Ohtani. There you go. But Pugs, Shohei's Japanese and she's South Korean. They don't even speak the same language. Is that true? Is that true? That would be true, wouldn't it? I guess is Korean a different language than Japanese? Let's say yes. Let's say, considering China has 2, Cantonese and Mandarin, let's just say that there's probably differences between Japanese and South Korean. Is there a difference between South Korean and North Korean? That's the question. Probably not. All right, guys, that's going to do it. I think we're done with the show for today. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Jeff says, you're just going through an Asian kink right now is all. Well, Jeff, if you knew me, you'd know that is not a right now type of proposition. I've dated many Asian girls. Actually, that's not true. 2. And they were both hybrids. They were both like Asian and something else. But no, she's just so cute. And it's just that song is hypnotic in the way they doing the thing, in the fact that it's baseball that has cheerleading. I just love that. I love everything about that story. And if it means I got to look at that little angel face, she looks kind of embarrassed. She looks like a human anime. That's what it is. She looks like a cartoon character. She's so cute. She's like a real live cartoon character. That's all it is. It's not kink. It's not sexual. It's not. It's no, you're awesome. Al says you are awesome. Nina says the S's are not all the same. Like, you mean the Chinese is and the Japanese is and the Koreanese is, the Taiwanese is, Vietnamese is. I got you. You'd see here. It says Georgia. Oh, here was something funny that I saw just before I signed on today. We'll leave you with this. And it seems like an unnecessary political thing for me to leave you with, but I thought this was funny. I just thought this was so funny. Did you guys see the clip last night of JD Vance giving a speech in front of a bunch of people? They got him stuck up there in Rube country, so he's talking to a bunch of like second generation inbred coal mine weirdos or whatever, his people, the people. What's the matter, Pugs? Is you being superior? I ain't fucking superior. I'm solidly within the working blue-collar middle class. We ain't those fucking weird hill folk. Don't lump those weird hill folk in with us, the normal middle class Americans. So yeah, he's speaking to these like inbred weirdos. And he's up there and he's like, good, giggly, good. He's doing all this stuff. Actually, I don't know where he was. He might have been in Detroit, which now that I think about it, maybe he was. I don't know where he was. But he was, again, he's like tripling down on the Haitians, are destroying Springfield, and that's the most important issue facing America now. And I'm not just trying to stir you up with stupid things that stupid people would be concerned about. No, that's not what I'm doing. But he's still doing that. He's like, the Haitians. Here's what he said. This dude is running for vice president, and this is what he said. All right, I want to make sure I have it right. Because when I heard it, I went, no. I go, no, he didn't fucking say it. And then they played it again, and I was like, oh my God. So Haitian people are from where? This is how I'll do it. Haitian people are from where? Haitian, of course. Haitian is, he said that he thinks that people are coming over from Haitian illegally. This guy wants to be vice president of the United States. He's on stage in front of a whole bunch of people talking about the imaginary country of Haitian. Of course, it's Haiti. They come from Haiti. It's not Haitian. It's just, why are we all so stupid, man? Why, that's not, well, he just misspoke. No, he didn't. No, he didn't know. He didn't know. He was like, oh. No, that's not a misspeaking. That's not that. Haitian, that's not a word any of us has ever heard, but Haitian, the nation of Haitian. We've never heard that before. That's a 100% JD Vance original right there on the spot. And when I'm vice president, I will force those dirty people to change their name to Haitian so that I don't look stupid in the history books. What else do we got? All right, here, I'll shoot one across the bow of the other team. So I saw that guy. Who's the guy? Doug Emhoff? This guy, first of all. Can we be honest with Doug Emhoff, the husband of Kamala Harris? They're doing the best to brand this guy as like he supports his stay-at-home dad. He supports her. He's one of those modern guys. Kamala, she wanted to be senator. She became senator. He supported her the whole way. She's taking care of his lovely little kids. It's Doug Emhoff. So that's kind of how they branded him. And that's kind of how they're trotting him out to us. That motherfucker is a killer Hollywood fucking shark attorney. And they are packaging him as, well, golly, I just supports my wife and my strange kids. I think he's only got one strange kid, right? One of the kids that he and Kamala raised. Not necessarily Kamala's, not Kamala's biological kid, but what's the chick's name? She's weird. She's very avant-garde, yeah. She's very weird. So they're up there on stage, and he's like, well, I just want to say that on behalf of women, and I think I've always supported women, I think Harvey Weinstein was probably a client of your firm. What do you mean? Anyway, this whole idea that Doug Emhoff is like he's just such a great husband. Stop it, okay? The guy's a fucking shark. You know what it takes to be a shark Hollywood film attorney? He's not even a dude who represented our favorite stars. That son of a bitch was representing the mega conglomerates that run the studios. That's who he was. He was he was a scrappy little law clerk who ran into a young and up-and-coming Kamala Harris. That's not what happened. He was a fucking big baller who met Kamala Harris when she was a big baller in the Northern California. This isn't like a love story of two people who just supported each other, and now one of them is on the cusp of being the first female president. No, these are two power players who have always been power players. Stop it. Anyway, that's what I saw. So there you go. I fired that one across the bow. The other guy, J.D. Vance, he thinks Haitians come from a country called Haïtia. And the other guy is trying to make people think that he thinks that people from you get what I'm saying? He's not. He's like a shark, Doug Emhoff. Look, if I just gave you certain pieces of information and didn't tell you that he was Doug Emhoff and that he was, here's what I would say. Ivy League educated Jewish film studio attorney. There you go. Now that's all the information I'm going to give you. You build the character from there and tell me if that matches what they're making Doug Emhoff look like. He's more Ari Gold, okay, than I think we're being allowed to see. But whatever. Same thing goes for Waltz. I'm just Mr. Next Door. You're a fucking governor of a state, dude. You had to do shit to get there. In order to rise through that nonsense, don't fucking play Okie from Muskogee now, Tim Waltz. I'm just the old ball coach. I'm digging the vibe a little bit. Don't get me wrong. I don't dislike the vibe. But that ain't who you are. You are a fucking badass too. You have done some things. You don't get to be a governor of a state and stay clean and I'm just Mr. Midwest. It's not a thing. You've had dinner with some fucked up people in your career and you've advocated for some fucked up things. And I'm not talking about the stuff that made headlines or that are in your permanent record as a governor. I'm talking about shit behind the, political deals and shit like that. Y'all had to do it. All of them have. But no, I'm just happy to be hitching my wagon to this great lady. That's what we got. Everybody's playing a game. I saw on, I think it was CNN this morning, they were talking to people. Some reporter was out talking to people in middle America. I think it was Michigan. It was Michigan. They were talking to younger voters in Michigan about, no, they were talking to male blue-collar workers. That's what it was, male blue-collar workers about the election and the polls and all that kind of stuff. And they were noting that that working class white men numbers in this particular battleground state were spiking for Kamala Harris. So they went, well, why are people that you would think would be solidly Trump are now suddenly voting for Kamala Harris? So they talked to this guy. It's on CNN today. This morning they talked to this dude, and he's like between shifts. He's going into the plant or whatever, and he's got he's a white guy. He's got a knit cap on. Apparently, it's already cold there in Michigan. And they said to him, he said that he was a Harris Waltz supporter, and they said, why? What? And I used to be a Trump supporter, and they're like, well, why? What changed your mind? And this dude just goes, well, I had no idea she was as articulate and well-spoken as she is. Because he's a dude who's watched Fox News for the last 5 years, and he literally thought Kamala Harris was some kind of blowjob machine who couldn't string a fucking sentence together, and not the arch political animal that she has been for the last 20 years. But go ahead, underestimate people at your own cost. But how funny is that? So what changed? Well, I had no idea how articulate and well-spoken she was. Let's not even talk about the dog whistle there, because, there's kind of they're so well-spoken. There's a little bit of that in there, but I'm not going with that. I'm more interested in that. Why would he think that she was stupid? Because of mass news, propaganda, and branding from the right. They've been very effective with that particular class of American. Working class white male. They've been I had no idea. I thought she was so stupid people had to button her blouses for her because she could never get them anything but zigzaggy. But there she was, and I thought, God darn, that lady sure can string a sentence together. Thought that was interesting. What else we got? I saw Trump. He was on Fox News last night, I guess. I don't know what show. I don't know, a bunch of shows. I saw him sitting next to a dude with a face tattoo. That's how desperate. I think that's a sign of desperation. When Trump's on TV live in studio at like 1 a.m. next to a dude with a face tattoo. He's not leaving. He's not taking long weekends anymore. He's grinding this bitch out now, and good. That's what he's got to do. If he wants to stay in, he's got to grind this shit out. This ain't like Biden. Fucking get up. You got to do Gutfeld at 1 o'clock in the morning. You got to drag your ass and be in studio and stand next to a dude with a face tattoo. Got to do that stuff. All right, we're done. I love you. I am out of here. Oh, what's Christina saying? Christina's calling Doug Emhoff a country lawyer? Yeah, no, he's not. No, he's not. Yeah, he's Matlock. No, he's not. He's Ari Gold. That's who he is. All right, I love you guys. Thanks again to our executive producer of today's show, the incredibly talented, where is he? I got to find it. I want to give him credit. There we go. It's Barney. Y'all, Barney. Good for him. Thank you to Barney. If you want to be the executive producer tomorrow, you can drop a little something wherever you drop things. I would prefer it be one attached to me and my account, so go to Venmo or go to Cash App. We'll be back here tomorrow, noon, for more rundown and news and all that good stuff. I don't know what the fuck we're doing here. I'm exhausted. I got a big football game to go to. Got to leave here in about an hour. It shouldn't take me this long to get from the Dallas Design District to Kimbrough Stadium. It shouldn't, but it does. Bye, guys. Love you.